You witnessed your father physically abusing your mother.
Yes.
Never.
My dad pushed my mother to the floor. In addition, had also thrown objects at my mom before. He did, threaten her.
She attacked me.
Were you ever served with a protective order? That's either a yes or a no.
This is Judy Justice. Hector Diaz is suing his niece-in-law, Blanca Padilla, for the value of a GoFundMe fundraiser and defamation.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3162, Diaz versus Padilla.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Diaz, I assume that this is your soon-to-be ex-wife.
Yes.
That lady sitting over there. And who was the young man with her?
Our son.
And this is the niece of your soon-to-be ex-wife.
Yes.
And your complaint is that you're in the process of going through a divorce. It's not as easy as one would hope, and that your wife's niece decided to do a GoFundMe page for her aunt to help her pay for lawyers' fees and living expenses because you were not a nice person, and that she said things in the GoFundMe page that were defamatory, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. So let me get some preliminary information from you, Mr. Diaz. When were you and your wife married? What year?
November 28 of 1998.
And when did you separate?
1/25 of 2022.
You have children?
Yes.
How many? 2?
Yeah.
You had to think about that.
Yeah, 2. But what I'm thinking about is the time we separated. I think it was 2023, sorry.
You left the house?
Yes, I went to Hubbard House.
Okay. Now I'd like to see the GoFundMe page that
Sure.
Ms. Padilla created. And Ms. Padilla, you do not deny that you created the GoFundMe page?
I do not deny. I did create it.
Just a second. You did create it and you wrote it?
Yes.
And people donated money based on what you wrote?
Correct.
How much?
As of today, the total is $7,158.
Okay. And Ms. Padilla, I assume that you gave the plaintiff's wife that money.
Correct.
Just a second. Is that correct, or is there a caveat in there?
There is a caveat.
Let's have the caveat.
All the expenses were paid towards her mortgage and utilities directly or through a third party.
What third party?
Teresa Seamus.
Who is that?
She's a friend of the family.
Okay, so money was given to her to pay the bills directly?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to read it out loud. It is with humble hearts that we reach out to you today for help in a situation involving our beloved Aunt Blanca. For 24 years, she has suffered in silence about her abusive marriage. During those years, she has endured psychological, emotional, spiritual, and physical abuse. She was belittled, insulted, manipulated, threatened, assaulted, controlled, and kept in the dark about all family finances. After several terrifying events, Blanca found the strength to finally speak up and seek help. She went to court and was awarded a restraining order against him and was able to return to her home. Her husband has become even more dangerous, as has completely abandoned his responsibilities as a father and a husband. He has emptied all of their life savings, retirement accounts, bank accounts, and has maxed out most of their credit cards. He has fraudulently opened accounts in her name, as well as the kids, to ruin their credit and ability to obtain funds. Not only has he left them without any money and ruined them financially, but he has also gone as far as repossessed her car, shut off all of her utilities in the house, and closed most credit cards she had access to for food. He has threatened to stop paying the mortgage and leave them homeless. He continues to go on luxury shopping sprees, buying cars, a motorcycle, lavish vacations. Blanca has serious health issues, relies on medication and ongoing medical care. Her daughter suffers from life-threatening asthma, needs her medication as well. Her husband has violated his restraining order on several times without consequences. Both Blanca and her daughters are in constant fear for their lives. He has gone as far as saying she needs mental help and claims she's erratic and is a danger to her daughter. Everyone close to her in this situation knows this is far from the truth. Blanca and her daughter need protection and legal help to proceed with a divorce to keep him away. We ask for your financial help, and I write with great appreciation. Thank you all. And then on March 18th, you wrote again, I would like to inform everyone that I am being sued for the funds that were raised. I'm being accused of defamation of character and a fraudulent GoFundMe page. The same person who continues to remain nameless, well, that's not true, would like to receive the funds that were raised for his family. The hearing will be held next week. What makes you think the same person who continues to remain nameless, what does that mean?
I didn't mention his name in the GoFundMe.
That's not a possible defense. You have to understand that. That is not a possible defense, that because you didn't put in his name, that he cannot be identified. You do understand that?
I do understand
okay.
that.
All right, so let's go back. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Hector Diaz claims his niece-in-law, Blanca Padilla, defamed him online by creating a GoFundMe fundraiser with false information.
Now, I want you to show me proof that he has opened up accounts in her name and the children's names. I want you to show me that he has opened accounts after they separated, which was January 25th, 2023, in her name and the children's names. I want you to do it.
I don't have that evidence. I don't have evidence.
Then you're guilty, madam. Just a second. Then you're guilty. Do you understand? I'm going to pick out things here and ask you that do you have proof that he opened up accounts in your name or your name
Not after January.
After January 25th, 2023?
Not after January 25th.
Then you're guilty. Because if accounts were open while they were together and while they're married, I'm not taking statements as to whether he had their consent. People do things when they're in a married situation. So do you have an account that he opened after January 25th, 2023? If the answer is yes, you can stand.
He had it still open and active after that, but he did not open it after 2023.
Then I'm not interested. What happened in your family prior to the separation of your family is within your family, and I'm not getting into your finances within your family. Right now, she says he has fraudulently opened accounts in her name as well as their kids to obtain credit funds. Wrong, guilty. See what happens when you butt into somebody else's business that you're supposed to stay out of?
But, Your Honor.
Don't speak.
Yes, Your Honor.
This has nothing to do with you. This has to do with you.
That's
what
correct.
you can prove to me. I'm not finished with this stick. Just a second. I'm going through line by line.
Okay.
I would like you to show me, or if you have them from the plaintiff's wife, any medical records describing physical abuse that she alleges happened at the hand of her husband. Do you have any?
I don't have medical records.
Doctor's reports?
No, I don't have medical records.
Okay, here we go. Do you have any proof that the plaintiff violated a restraining order that is in place against him?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
So I have the arrest.
No, I just want to see. There's a protective order.
There's an injunction, yes.
There's a protective order.
And these are the police reports, the arrest warrant.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Okay. And I have the injunction as well.
Okay, sir. You appeared before a judge in December of 2023.
Yes.
Were you ever served with a protective order? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Okay. Did you go to court on that protective order?
No.
Did you have a hearing with regard to that protective order?
No.
Is there a final order of protection?
Yes, but without me appearing to the hearing.
So you just defaulted and didn't appear. Is that what you're saying to me?
I had to dismiss her injunction because she attacked me. And she had her first injunction, and I was in the house the first time. I dismissed all her charges, and she retaliated by opening up a false injunction against me, which I thought I didn't have to go to court because mines were set. I didn't have to appear in court I dismissed her injunction. I did not know that she had opened one against me.
When had you filed one protective
On the
order?
25th, when it happened, the attacks, on the 20th and 25th, the police was called. They analyzed the whole situation, and they ended up arresting her.
How long were you incarcerated?
2 days. May I speak?
Not yet.
Okay.
So you understand that there is a protective order against you that was issued on default.
On default because she admitted things that weren't true.
It was issued on default because you weren't there.
Because I wasn't there, yeah.
You understand that?
I understand that, yeah. And I'm wearing an ankle bracelet right now for that. It took me a lot to get here.
It took what?
For 8 months, I've been wearing an ankle bracelet because of that injunction that I violated, supposedly.
That part then is true. Her husband has violated his restraining order on several occasions without consequences, with the exception of an ankle bracelet, which is a consequence. So you're home free on that. Okay. Now you wanted to say something?
Yes. I want to say that on January 26th, I went to the Hubbard House, which is a domestic shelter.
I want to hear what happened before that. Was that before or after your arrest?
This was before. And so on January 26th, I went to the court and applied for a temporary injunction, which is an order of protection. He was served on February 1st. In retaliation, he went to the police and he had me arrested February 2nd under false charges.
What did he allege in the action that he filed against you, that they arrested you? You had to have known.
There were scratches, which he alleges, and I have photos of the scratches. He says that she, yes.
And he alleged that she scratched you.
Yes.
Okay, have a seat. Okay. So the GoFundMe page has two problems. One is physical abuse, of which you have no proof other than her statement.
And Brandon's.
And have you ever been arrested for physically abusing your wife?
Never.
So you're basing the physical abuse on statements that your aunt made to you.
Brandon.
And as well
Brandon
as me,
was
Your
the
Honor,
person that
because
told
I
me.
grew up-
This is not a shout out.
I apologize, Your Honor.
Hector Diaz has accused his niece-in-law, Blanca Padilla, of defaming him online after she created a GoFundMe fundraiser with false information.
You're basing this statement on statements that the plaintiff's son told you.
Correct.
About. Stand. You're Brandon.
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And you've indicated that you witnessed your father physically abusing your mother.
Yes.
Have you ever witnessed your mother physically abusing your father?
No, I have not.
Okay. Tell me when the act or acts of physical abuse took place and what you observed. Date, year, month.
Around 2019 or 2018, 2019, my parents, who continuously had very intense and abrasive fights that were very detrimental to me and my sister. One day it got really intense and my dad pushed my mother to the floor. And I know that my father, in addition, had also thrown objects at my mom before I had seen. They didn't hit her, but he did threaten her. I have, very vivid images of that. And
very good. You can sit down. No. No. Okay. There are probably some things in your GoFundMe page that are accurate. I probably would believe that during the course of this acrimonious separation, and they've clearly had fights, which according to your witness, were intense between both of them. He didn't say just his father, he said they were intense fights. That being said, I believe that he emptied the bank accounts. I believe that he cut off her credit cards. That's what people do when they get separated and it's acrimonious. That's what happens. And you can put that in here because that's true. You can't put in things that aren't true. and you put in things here that aren't true, and that's defamatory. You can't do that. In any event, you should have kept your nose out of other people's business.
I wasn't going to let her drown. When he left her and he tried to destroy her.
Just a second.
I did
Listen to me.
In my ability
You're trying to
help.
talk over me. You can help. You cannot say things on a public forum disparaging someone else with stuff that you can't prove. And you can't prove that he fraudulently, after the separation, opened up bank accounts in her name and the children's name in an attempt to ruin their credit. You can't prove that. Mm-hmm. This is defamatory. You're accusing him of fraud, and you can't prove it. Okay, so that was not true, Mr. Diaz, what she wrote about you, or that she has no proof of it, that you opened up credit cards. The rest of it, fair game in this GoFundMe page. She can say that you were overbearing. She can say that her aunt was afraid of you. She can say that you stopped paying the mortgage. She can say that you closed out her credit cards. Did you do all those things, by the way?
No.
Did you stop paying the mortgage?
No.
I have proof.
Just a second.
No, ma'am. I've been living away from my home for now up to a year.
Yes.
I put the house on a forbearance. I've been paying $1,700 for rent to live outside since May.
I want you to listen to my question very carefully, and let's not be slippery.
Okay.
I asked you if you stopped paying the mortgage.
No.
You've been paying the mortgage every month. She's going to show me. I don't want to know that you've been paying someplace else to live and you stopped paying. That's a reason. I'm just asking you a question. I expect an answer.
Okay, so
did you pay the mortgage?
I paid up until I left the house. When I left the house...
Well, that was in January of 2023.
I had to call in. I said I was no longer employed, and I had to put the house on forbearance.
Okay, fine.
So
the answer is you stopped paying the mortgage. Okay. The only thing that she wrote here that she has no proof of, which is a crime, is opening up credit cards in somebody else's name. And when you do that, and it's after parties have separated, and if you do it for the purposes of ruining their prospective credit, well, that's a crime. And she has no proof of that.
Never done that.
Okay.
I try to resolve this GoFundMe page amicably with her. These are her responses.
I don't care what her responses were, sir. Actually, she's not allowed to say anything that's untrue, accusing you of committing a crime on her GoFundMe page. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Next time, I'm going to suggest to everybody else they stay out of other people's business.
Esther, yeah, she's very inflammatory in her emails, in her fake postings.
I was going to allow my family to be ruined financially and legally. I was going to stand up and do the right thing for them. I don't think what I did was incorrect. And just because I didn't have the evidence with me today doesn't mean he didn't do that.
It got messy because she claims her allegations that I went and wrote her emails, wrote her text messages after there was a no contact order. So she used all that evidence to keep me away from my children.
Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't do a police report. Just because you're married doesn't mean this is right, and defend yourself.
You know, we're still the same entity because we're still married, but once, you know, we're divorced, then it'll be, you know, it'll be more better relationships.
That's it. I'll always defend my family.
I believe a lot of the things that are in that GoFundMe post probably accurate. He did, in fact, stop paying the mortgage for whatever reason. There's indication that he, at least in some of the notes, that he was, in fact, incarcerated for something. He's wearing an ankle bracelet, which is probably a pretty serious incident because most of this stuff is about stalking. Yeah. But when you post something for public consumption, and if something is not accurate, and if it's a crime or call somebody's reputation into serious dispute, although I don't know much about his reputation, you can't do that. You know, and it is possible that during the course of their marriage, several bank accounts were open, several credit cards were open, and let's say they maxed out all those credit cards, and she was one of the holders of those credit cards. You maxed out the credit cards, and if the time is afterwards and he's committed a fraud, now he's separated and he's divorcing. So he knows whatever he does now is not for the benefit of the family. That's what she claimed. And that's not true. Yeah. And you can't do that. So my best advice is stay out of other people's divorces.
Yeah.
So you were going to go into her space, make and sell your CBD's infused ice cream.
CBD and THC, Your Honor.
And you still have his ice cream equipment.
Correct.
We had a fallout, so.
And you're saying, I want my equipment back.
I just want the value. I don't want the equipment anymore.
I don't care what you want. You've been eating too much ice cream.
This is Judy Justice. Kyle Bishop is suing his former business partner, Bridget Pinder, for the return of ice cream equipment.
Court, come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3137, Bishop versus Pinder.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Bishop, you and Ms. Pinder are both in the business of products that contain CBD.
CBD and THC, Your Honor.
CBD and what?
THC.
You have to tell me what that is. Some people don't know.
It's a cannabis derivative.
That's good for what?
It's good for pain management, sleep, stuff like that.
And your particular specialty was CBD's infused ice cream.
Correct.
And you take that for pain management.
You can.
What else do you take it for?
You can take it recreationally, too, if you want.
Just to be happy.
Just to be happy.
It would seem to me that that's why you would take ice cream.
Sure.
Just to be happy. How long have you been involved in that business?
Since 2018, Your Honor.
Just my own curiosity. How'd you get involved in the ice cream part of CBDs?
It was basically just a fun way to infuse the CBD or THC.
And how do you buy the CBDs? Does it come in a box?
It comes in a distillate. So it's a comes in a liter jar.
A liquid?
Yep.
And where do they get that from?
They extract it from the plant itself.
And you buy it from a company?
Yeah, yep, the extraction company, yep.
Where are they located?
In Oregon.
Must be a good business.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and you invested in this ice cream machinery.
Mm-hmm.
I assume there's no difference between the ice cream machinery to make ice cream.
No, none at all.
And the one to make ice cream infused with CBD.
None.
Okay. When did you purchase the equipment?
So the freeze dryer was purchased on February 22nd of 23. That was just one of the machines, one of the three.
And how much was that machine?
That machine was exactly $2,904.02.
Okay.
But there's also interest on it, because I'm doing a payment plan on it.
Just tell me what the second piece of equipment was.
Sure. And that would be a winter ice cream machine.
Okay, when did you purchase that?
This one was purchased on January 9th of 22. That was the second ice cream machine that I have.
And the third one?
I don't have the exact date, but I do have proof of purchase.
What was the year?
22.
Did you buy it from a private party?
Yes.
Okay. And how much was that?
That was $250.
Okay. And the one that you bought on January 9th, 2022 was how much?
$300.
$34.54 is what you paid for the equipment.
Correct.
You have any loans out on the equipment?
I do. Yep.
And that would be on the one you purchased in 2023?
Correct.
And how much is left on that?
I actually don't know. I just keep making payments on it.
When was the last time you made a payment on it?
This month.
Now, Ms. Pinder, you're in the same business, and what I gather was he leased some space and then he had some trouble in his space. You used to be in that space, and you were moving into new space.
We were already in new space.
You were already in new space, and he asked you if he could move his ice cream equipment over to your space and sell stuff out of your space.
Correct. We were going to collaborate. I'm sorry.
And when was that?
That was in July of 2023.
And that was the plan. He had his ice cream infused, and you are involved in CBDs. What kind? What do you sell?
So we grow, process, and make all of our own products. So we have a hemp farm where we grow all of our own hemp, and then we process it ourselves. So we get an oil rosin out of our plant, and then we take that and we use that in our products. We were going to collaborate with Kyle on an ice cream product, and that is how we ended up
So she would
moving.
supply the liquid?
No, she didn't supply anything.
No, she would.
Sorry.
I didn't say she did. I said if you're going to collaborate, were you going to buy your product from her?
We could, yes.
I actually did supply. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that sounds like a collaboration.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if she processes her own liquid.
Right, but it's more cost effective to buy it in bulk the way I was doing it versus making it.
So how were you going to collaborate with her?
It was going to be a 50-50 partnership between the profit made.
So you were going to go into her space, make and sell your ice cream.
Right.
And she would get half the profit.
Right.
In exchange for your rent. Is that the deal?
We didn't have a deal on rent or anything.
Okay, so you didn't have a deal on rent, but you were going to split profits on his product.
Correct.
Okay, and there was a kerfuffle between the two of you when?
About July 26th, 2023.
And you were no longer collaborating after that?
Correct.
Correct.
And you still have his ice cream equipment in your store?
Correct. And the reason that I have his okay.
And that's what he wants back?
Well, no, actually I do. I just want the value. I don't want the equipment anymore.
I don't care what you want.
Sure.
You want your equipment back.
Well, actually, I want the value of the equipment.
She's not going to pay you for the equipment. If I rule that she has to give it back to you, she's going to give it back to you. You got to go pick it up from wherever it is. Okay.
Bishop claims his former business partner, Bridget Pinder, is wrongfully withholding his ice cream equipment. Bridget is countersuing for the cost of CBD products and defamation.
Now, is the theory that you're holding on to his equipment that he has some of your product?
Yes, ma'am.
So in effect, what you did was put a lien on his equipment, even though you didn't put a lien on it.
Correct.
You have to return his equipment.
Okay.
And you have 5 days to do that. You go there if you need to go there with a sheriff or a marshal. We'll put that in the order.
I've already done that once. I've already done that once, Your Honor.
Well, now you do it with an order. 5 days, you pick up your equipment. Okay. Now, you paid $34.54 for the equipment. Would you mind telling me why you're suing for $7,000?
Basically for damages done to the business as well.
What damages?
Loss in profit and wages.
How do you know that? What proof do you have of that?
I can't sell any product, Your Honor.
Well, what proof do you have of what you could sell?
I do have other clientele that would purchase.
How do I know that? You get your equipment back.
Okay.
Be happy. Now, she has a counterclaim. She says you have some of her product.
I do.
First, how did you come into possession of her product?
We agreed upon the old space that we were both currently at. It was a 60-40 split.
Just a minute. You mean in your old place that you left?
Yes. Yep.
Before you left the old space, she gave you some of her product for you to sell.
Right. And then I still owed on that product after closing.
Did you have a written contract?
No.
How did you keep track of what she had given you to sell?
We would basically just do it through the POS system.
The what?
The POS system, point of sales.
On my end, I would keep track of every time I would bring product out to the store or one of my employees would bring product. And then I also have copies of my wholesale books and my lists, if you would like, so that you can see how much things cost. And
Mr. Bishop, I'd like you to take a look at this and see if this represents a fair and accurate representation of the product that Ms. Pinder gave you to sell on consignment.
These are the correct products, but not the quantity.
Do you have what the quantity is?
I do not.
Well, why don't you keep it? I mean, you're in business. If you don't have it and she has it, then I must rely on what she has. Mr. Bishop, you got to stop eating all that ice cream, sir.
No, I do have conversations.
You eat up all the product, you know, you're not in business anymore. So where is all of her product?
It's in storage right now.
How long has it been in storage?
About 4 months.
What's the exact date it went into storage?
I don't know, Your Honor.
July was when he left his store. So
it was actually May 11th was the last day, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm sorry, May 11th was his last day. And our products are not very shelf stable. They have about 6 months to a year shelf stability. So those products would not be viable anymore.
Tell me, Mr. Bishop, how come you put the products in storage in May?
That's just because we're transferring over to a new spot. Well, trying to anyway. And then we're just continually trying to find a new spot.
Well, what happened with her spot?
We had a fallout, so.
He was never coming to my new spot. His old spot is where that I was in prior to him renting it. So we've never been in business together. We've never had like a spot or anything like that together.
But that was the plan.
No, it was not.
That was the plan.
The plan was for him to make ice cream in our processing facility, but not for us to ever share storefront together.
So his ice cream
his own
equipment was placed by him in your processing facility, not the store.
Correct.
So he never really used it to make ice cream.
No, I asked him multiple times in multiple text messages to come in and make the product because we were supposed to be making a product together. And he would always give me excuses like, I don't have gas money, I can't get there today, this and that. And then the product not being viable, we also went back and forth with that. I kept asking him to make something with a longer shelf life, things like that. So that didn't happen.
May I see some of the text messages?
Yeah.
And then I'd like you to tell me.
So these are in order. This is from where we were talking in July 26th. There's so this is me asking for my products back. Maybe we'll start with that. I don't know. I don't know if you want the whole thing.
Yeah,
okay.
I want everything. The defendant said to you, I'll need my products back and money you owe me first. I assume you asked for your ice cream equipment.
Correct.
I've been asking you for weeks when you're coming in, and you didn't, so now I don't have time. Well, how much did you owe her in July? Mr. Bishop, you clearly, based upon all of these messages, owe her money.
Correct.
And you owe her some serious money in July. And what you're doing is saying to her, listen, I'm not doing well right now, so you got to stop stressing me. You're asking her to be like your mother. I owe you money, but don't talk to me about that now because I'm very stressed.
It was only
and I have to make money, and I need my freezer equipment to make money, and you won't give it to me. That's what you're saying to her. Now, he says to you, I know I owe you $700, and it's just frustrating that the faucet just shut off. Trust me, I know. But we need to work together on this to make it work. There is a spot in Glencoe for $800, all utilities with a small kitchenette. And only asking for 1 year's rent, I can sell things and do DoorDash to meet that.
The $700, Your Honor, that was for product he had sold in the store, not for the product of mine that he still has. So I agree
so
that
what he
was selling our products.
That's not right, Your Honor.
So that was the $700 that he had sold that he owed us from selling the product, but he still has all of my other products in storage.
He has other inventory.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bishop, I'm reading all these messages, and it appears that you said to her, I owe you $700.
Correct.
Now, in my rudimentary business mind, that means that that is not materials that you had of hers that are currently in storage, but materials that you sold and were her part of the profits. You said it was a 60-40 split in the old store.
That was for the collaboration we were going to do.
No, that's for what you sold already. That's for what you sold, and you didn't pay her.
But there's no way I have $10,000 worth of product. There's absolutely
but you see, I don't know that because you just took it and didn't keep inventory. You just took it. Gimme. I want to make some ice cream.
Has accused his former business partner, Bridget Pinder, of refusing to return his ice cream equipment. Bridget is countersuing, claiming Kyle owes for the cost of CBD products.
So my question to you, Mr. Bishop, is how much money did you owe her?
Only $700, Your Honor.
I want you to show me how you get to that figure.
Sure.
Your Honor, that was this. Okay.
There's her. Oop. Excuse me, sir.
What you're showing me is $700 that you already owe her for products that you sold.
Right, but that's all that was owed.
Well, what's in storage?
It's about like $500 worth of product. It's not much.
That's not what she says.
Right, that's what she said.
Why didn't you give it back to her?
I mean, we tried talking. I even brought a cop for a civil standby. We couldn't really work it out.
What do you mean you couldn't work it out? Why don't you just give her back all the products that you had back in July? They were still good.
Well, I was going to sell those in my new spot. I thought I was going to get a new spot by next month, but that never panned out, unfortunately.
Well, that's not her fault.
Right.
You kept stuff that didn't belong to you.
Right. But I do have text messages saying that I was going to sell that in the new spot.
But you didn't.
Well, I can't.
Why?
Because I don't have a new spot.
Well, that's not her fault.
Right. No, I know it's not.
You've been eating too much ice cream, Mr. Bishop. Try chicken and fish. It'll help you out a lot. It's good for your brain.
Your Honor.
What?
He's also been defaming us on social media and YouTube, which I have copies of. He also has product with our logo on them still on his Facebook page that we've asked him to take down multiple times, which he hasn't, and he laughs at us about.
Merci.
Yeah. The picture of the YouTube, Your Honor, is him sharing our text messages that I gave you on YouTube, calling us thieves.
Okay. I was saying, if you don't want to see the picture on the front page of the New York Times, don't take the picture. And if you don't want to see something republished, don't send a text message about it, because it can be republished. I don't know what this means. Can you get away with stealing? #law, #education. What is that?
The content of that was actually a guy stealing a watch and then the state pressing charges against the guy that stole. So telling her basically that the state would press charges against her for stealing my stuff.
But taking my business in it.
She actually should not have retained your stuff without the intervention of a court, but that's why we're here now, sir.
Correct.
And the defendant says that the value of the merchandise that you have is not, as you speculate, $500 or whatever, but more in the neighborhood of, she says, thousands of dollars, because you're suing for a congregate amount of $10,000. You break that up in product and in defamation. Now, you have a fixed amount that I can see of what product you gave him, when, and your cost on them. You have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
It's on the back sheet of the one that I gave you, 11,000, the one that looks like this, Your Honor.
Okay. You asked him for his stuff.
I did.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what he told you?
He told me that he was going to be getting a new space and that he was going to sell my stuff in his new space. So I asked him multiple times for my things back, because I know that they're not going to do well in a storage space. I even told him, give them back to me, and I will give you new stuff when you open your new space.
That's not true, Your Honor.
It is true, Your Honor. That's what
There's no text messages saying that.
No, I told that to him.
It really doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, because I wanted him to succeed. I'm in the part of our huge part of our community.
That's not true, Your Honor.
And
Don't interrupt her.
I wanted him to succeed. I want a lot of people to succeed, and so I try to help others in our community, and that's what I was trying to do here, Your Honor.
She actually had a lobbyist group make my product illegal. I don't know how that's helping me.
Mr. Bishop, let me ask you this question. You're coming to court today asking for the return of your equipment.
Correct. But now I can't even make the product because it's illegal now.
Because it's illegal.
Correct. She made it illegal.
Wow.
She's not a legislator. She may have lobbied to make it illegal, but she's not a legislator.
Well, no, she used a group called...
I don't care, Mr. Bishop. You have to understand. I don't care. What I'm saying to you is you're coming into a court of equity and you're saying, I want my equipment back, which I can still use because it's equipment. And
well,
Ms.
I can't
Pinder,
use it to make ice cream.
I don't care what you use it for. You can use it to make ice cream, so you just can't make it with CBD-infused ice cream.
Correct.
Make as much ice cream as you like. And as far as the defendant is concerned, if you can't make CBD-infused ice cream, she has no use for the equipment.
Correct.
Except to sell it. But if you can't use it, is that right?
Correct.
If you can't use it, then you really don't want it back.
Correct.
Then I'm not going to give it to you back.
Okay.
And I'm going to take off the value based upon what you owe her, because she can't use the product anymore. Its shelf life is gone, and you've retained it. Do you understand?
Correct.
So she says the value of her product is $11,000. My court maximum is $10,000. She's got the equipment that you can't use. I don't know what she can sell it for. You paid $3,000 for the equipment. You have $10,000 worth of stuff that you can no longer use because he's retained it in storage. Sell whatever you can of his ice cream equipment.
Okay.
I'm awarding you $7,000 on your counterclaim.
Thank you, Judge.
The plaintiff's claim is dismissed. On the counterclaim, $7,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Adjourned.
We just had a disagreement, unfortunately. We had a bit of a falling out, so.
He wouldn't show up to make the product. The shelf life on the product was not long enough, and it wasn't reliable.
They put in law that my ice cream is now illegal, so.
We did not do that. We did not get anything banned. We worked really hard to get THC legalized in Minnesota, and that's what we did.
Oh, we're just gonna move forward.
We will never work with him in the future.
I should have asked whether these products that contain the CBDs that she sells, that he took and has in storage, I wonder if they have an expiration date.
A lot of them do. I think it's a plant derivative. Sometimes, balms or salves that have CBD in them do all have an expiration
date on it.
Just because they do come from a plant derivative, so they have some form of expiration on
date. Yeah, you see that, when products that you buy in the grocery store.
It sounded
best
accurate
used by.
when she said 6 months to a year around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been a good question.
What threats did she make to you?
She sent me a text message threatening my and my daughter's life.
I don't even know that phone number.
You discussed this with your former husband.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're a witness.
She had a fake phone number set up and sent those messages.
Oh, there you go. That's a threat.
This is Judy Justice. Joanna Henderson is suing her ex-fiancé, Jeffrey Stout, for personal belongings and a husky dog.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3126A, Hernan Henderson versus Stout.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Henderson, you and the defendant were engaged to be married and were living together, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
From when to when?
2019 to 2022.
And when did you become engaged?
September of 2022.
Your lawsuit seeks two things: the return of some appliances that you claim are yours, and also a dog that you claim is yours. Let's start with the appliances. When were they purchased?
They were purchased in July or August of 2022 when I lived in my own apartment.
And you purchased them?
Yes, I did. Washer and a dryer. They were a matching set.
The washer and dryer that she had at her apartment, I had purchased for her when she got that apartment.
Does that sound right?
It could possibly be, yes, Your Honor.
Can't help you with the washer and dryer, madam.
I'm okay with that, Your Honor.
Okay, so we can't help you with the washer and dryer. Let's talk about the dog. When was the dog brought into the home? Month and year?
July of 2022.
Did you both go together to adopt the dog?
No.
Just you?
Correct.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. She adopted her. I was working over the road.
Okay. And the dog was at that time, I think, 2 years old?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did the relationship terminate?
The day before Thanksgiving in 2022.
And in November of 2022, you would have the dog 4 months?
Correct.
Who took the dog in November of 2022?
Primarily with him.
So the dog was with him until March of
Yes, Your Honor.
2023. Since March of 2023, where has the dog been?
I do not know, Your Honor.
So it has not been with you?
Correct.
So the dog has not been with you since November of 2022?
Correct.
Are you kidding me? Why are you here? Just for my own curiosity, where's the husky? It's a husky, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where's the husky?
She's with me.
Okay. Now you know where the dog is and where the dog has been for the last 2 years. I'm glad you know. Your case is dismissed. So that takes care of your case. Now we have the second part of this case, which is your counterclaim. You have a child from a previous marriage or relationship?
A previous marriage, Your Honor.
And at the time that you were together, you had joint custody pursuant to the divorce?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it is your claim that as a result of the plaintiff's actions while you were a couple that targeted your ex-wife, you lost custody of your child?
Yes, Your Honor. The family judge made it clear that Jerry...
Don't tell me what the family court judge made clear. If you want to show me a decision and an order, I'll be more than happy to look at it.
Yes, Your Honor, in my...
Okay, can I see it? Okay, I'll read into the record what the judge found. The evidence demonstrates that the respondent's girlfriend, Joanna Henderson, that would be you, has caused strife and friction between the parties. It is not lost on the court that prior to her relationship with the respondent, the parties were able to co-parent. Since the respondent's relationship with Ms. Henderson, Mrs. Landrum, that is your former wife, has had to obtain an order of protection against her and was arrested once for having violated the same. Ms. Henderson has held herself out as the child's mother and claimed to be homeschooling the child without any authority to do so. It is evident and regrettable that the respondent, that would be you, has chosen to prioritize his relationship with Ms. Henderson over his relationship with the child. That's what it says. What kind of a lawsuit is that? What kind of a lawsuit is that, sir? You are now claiming that because of the plaintiff's actions, you had trouble with your custody order. And you give me this in support of that counterclaim in which you're requesting $5,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? She may have caused trouble. The judge found you guilty. What kind of lawsuit do you think you have against her?
Because of her violating her restraining order and harassing my ex-wife.
She was arrested for having violated the restraining order. Was there a trial on that?
No, there was not a trial, Your Honor.
Okay. Judge found you at fault. This is your child. It's not her child. If you chose at any time, which the judge found, that you chose to prioritize your relationship with Ms. Henderson over that of your responsibility as a parent, that's regrettable.
Yes,
okay.
Your Honor.
So your counterclaim is dismissed. So the washer and dryer you don't get, and the husky stays with you, because you've had the husky for 2 years. I don't have any idea, Ms. Henderson, what you're doing here. Your case is dismissed. There's a second part of this case that has to do with your ex-wife, where the two of you are defendants. Okay, we're going to go outside, and we're going to call that case as a brand new one.
This court is adjourned.
Glad she was able to see that Stormy was my dog, always had been.
It's very disappointing that I do not get to see my dog that I purchased myself.
I think she was just hurt and upset and was trying to get back at me.
I hope we can just move on with our lives and maybe I can find another dog like Stormy.
Case number 3126B, Hilgert versus Henderson Stout. All parties, please come forward.
Lauren Hilgert is suing her ex-husband, Jeffrey Stout, and his ex-fiancée, Joanna Henderson, for false claims and personal threats.
Ms. Hilgert, you and Mr. Stout were married.
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
We were married in 2015. I believe it was the month of June, and we were divorced on February 14th of 2018.
And you have one child whose name is Ava. Your lawsuit is couched in harassment, threats, and false claims against both your former husband and his former fiancée, because they are no longer a couple.
Yes, ma'am.
Hilgert claims her ex-husband, Jeffrey Stout, and his ex-fiancée, Joanna Henderson, made false CPS reports, and Joanna threatened Lauren's life.
Now, I've already read into the record in a previous case judge's evaluation of what happened after your ex-husband and Miss Henderson became a couple, and it's clear that the judge who heard that case found that your former husband's conduct was unwise, right?
Ma'am.
That's not a cause of action. And that the judge found that you and your ex-husband had perfectly fine co-parenting arrangement until Miss Henderson came into the picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, not a cause of action. So I'm going to do this very quickly. This lawsuit seeks $10,000 for actual and punitive damages. And the damages that you are complaining about were all tied up in ongoing custody disputes with your ex-husband.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me what threats, harassment, and false claims your ex-husband made against you. Just your ex-husband. Let's go. Did he threaten you?
No.
Okay, so against him, threats are out. Did he harass you?
Yes.
How?
He would message me continuously.
About what?
About our daughter.
Well, that's not harassment unless it is harassment. Can I see an example of those text messages that you deem harassment?
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the text messages that you claim formed the basis of the harassment.
As well as him filing a false DFS report.
This isn't harassment at all. What kind of harassment is this? He says, we're having a family dinner tonight, but some of them are going to be a little late, and Ava really wants to see them, so I was hoping to keep her until like 8 tonight, or I was thinking since it would be a late pickup and I'm getting her tomorrow, she could just stay another night. What's harassment about that? Nothing. Sounds very nice to me.
No, ma'am.
I don't care what it sounds like to you. This sounds very nice to me.
If you read down, I said not tonight, and then he sends a message.
Just a second. You said not tonight.
Yes,
Don't
ma'am.
give him an answer as to why not tonight. You don't give him a say. It's a school night. It's a this. Just not tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Nasty. That's nasty.
No, ma'am.
That's not actionable, but it's nasty. I'm telling you. Been there, done that, both personally and professionally. Your response to him was nasty.
They require for my responses to be very short.
No. His email to you was very pleasant and most reasonable, and yours wasn't. He said, not tonight. She has homework, she has a doctor's appointment, she has something. I wish I could. Nothing. Nasty. Okay. Then he says, excuse me, I didn't read this. He asked a very logical question. Why? Why is it that every time I want to keep Ava a little late, there's always got to be some excuse, or when you're tired of making up excuses, it's just no. Why don't you want her to spend time with me or my family? This is getting ridiculous. She has been taken away from the parent and family that raised her, and she's been with so much of her entire life. You ripped that all away from her, and now she was so excited to see them. Also, perfectly reasonable.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, same day, he says, over the past few months, I've noticed several signs of neglect, from her eczema to her clothes. I have seen abuse on the soccer field, coming to me with bruises, and most recently, Ava has said something very concerning. All of these things together led me to take action and make sure our daughter is safe and properly cared for. I have taken steps to have these concerns and things Ava has said investigated. So he's telling you he made a report someplace to be investigated.
A week before he sent that message, yes.
Who knows? Who cares?
I have the paperwork that he made the report a week before he sent that message.
Well, now he's telling you he sent it. He didn't tell you that he sent it before he sent it. He's telling you now. What's wrong with that?
He broke the court order and kept our daughter away from me.
Oh, you sound like nonsense, madam. Okay, so there's no harassment by your ex-husband. Everything he did was reasonable. So far, nothing against him. No threats. False claims, I assume you are referring to the CPS report that he made to have you and your husband investigated. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's also dismissed. If he had concerns, that's what he does. He called CPS. And not only that, he didn't even do it in a sneaky way. He told you about it.
Well, that's not that incident that he had made. There was 4 different CPS calls.
Okay,
And
just 1 second. Well, this was May 31st, 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I assume that was investigated.
No, ma'am.
This was never investigated?
No, ma'am.
So he made another report?
Yes, ma'am.
Good for him. So if CPS didn't investigate that one, he made another report. That's what you're supposed to do.
Not until the next year.
I don't care when it was.
Which was also found unsubstantiated.
That's okay.
And the family court judge said that he filed the false report. That's in our court order, that he found that it was false.
Oh, I'd like to see where the judge found that it was a false report. I'd like to see what the report was, and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
judge finding it false. Okay. After a hearing on May 3rd for motion for temporary custody and an order of protection, the court found that the respondent, that's you, made false allegations against the petitioner's fiancé. The evidence clearly demonstrates that the minor child made no such disclosure of abuse to the Children's Division or to her counselor, despite respondent knowing the child had not made any disclosures of abuse. He wrongfully withheld the minor child from the petitioner, denied contact for approximately 1 month. Okay, so you made an allegation of abuse.
Yes, Your Honor.
Against her fiancé.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now your husband, I assume at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
And the child failed when investigated and interviewed by Child Protective Services, failed to repeat any allegations of abuse against her fiancé. Do I have that right?
Yes, ma'am.
To whom did the child make allegations of abuse?
Has accused her ex-husband, Jeffrey Stokes, and his ex-fiancée, Joanna Henderson, of making false CPS reports. And she also says Joanna threatened her life.
Okay. The child failed when investigated and interviewed by Child Protective Services, failed to repeat any allegations of abuse against her fiancé. Do I have that right?
Yes, ma'am.
To whom Did the child make allegations of abuse?
She revealed that to me, Your Honor.
To you?
Yes, Your Honor.
It doesn't strike me that he made up that story unless you're telling me that before that you had had ongoing serious difficulties with him, because it seems to me that
Yes,
you were
ma'am, we did.
co-parent. You were co-parenting.
No, ma'am. Not at that time, no, ma'am.
Well, if the child was at his house, that's co-parenting. I don't know why you're here. You have absolutely no cause of action against your ex-husband. So you can sit down. So the case is dismissed against you. You want to tell me what your cause of action is against Miss Henderson? Threats. Let's start with threats first. What threats did she make to you?
She sent me a text message threatening my and my daughter's life.
She sent you a text message that was a threat?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd want to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why would you send her a text message that says you're going to die, you deserve it?
May I ask what phone number it's sent from to confirm it is my phone number? I don't even know that phone number. I've had the same phone number for over 10 years.
Your worst nightmare, you're going to pay for all the blank you've done, or would losing your daughter be worse? Because you sure think you have everything right now. Watch your back.
That's the reason why their relationship was over, Your Honor.
May I
You mean
confirm
their
it?
relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what you're telling me is you discussed this with your former husband.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you're a witness.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've just heard what I've read.
Yes, Your Honor.
At that time, Miss Henderson was your fiancée.
Yes.
Did you discuss these text messages with her?
I did not.
You did not?
I did not discuss them with Joanna.
Who did you discuss them with?
I had discussed them with Lauren.
With your former wife?
Yes, Your Honor.
After they were received in November of 2022?
Yes, Your Honor.
That was after you and Miss Henderson had broken up?
We were still together until that day.
Until this day?
Until just after those messages were sent. I was at a visit with my daughter at the time. At the end of the visit, Lauren showed me those text messages. I took that phone number that they were from because we suspected it was Joanna. As soon as I got home to mine and Joanna's apartment, I called that number and it rang to Joanna's phone. She had a fake phone number set up and sent those messages.
Oh, there you go. That's a threat. Why would you do that?
It was bad judgment, and I do regret it.
Now you can sit down. That's better than it wasn't my phone. Bad judgment. Okay, that's a threat. Harassment.
She violated a protection order that I had against her, and she was arrested for that.
Yeah, this is not the right court for that. Next, false claims.
She played the same role because when they were together and those 4 different CPS calls were made, she had played a role in that.
He was part of that.
Yes, ma'am, they both were.
Okay, very good. Your former husband doesn't strike me as the kind of person who had anything but his child's best interest as a motivation. He may have used bad judgment with her, but I don't think he didn't have your child's best interest as a focal point of his judgment. Part of that is suggested to me because when he read these messages to you, threatening you, that he felt was so wrong, that was it. He broke up with her.
No, ma'am, that's not when he broke up with her.
Well, that's when he said he broke up with her. Is that when you broke up with her?
Yes, Your Honor, that's the day I moved out.
When she sent the death threats, but not the...
I'm talking about the death threat.
Okay.
I said when she made this threat, you discussed it with him and he left.
Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't sound like a bad man. Anyway, Miss Henderson, sounds like you made a whole lot of trouble. Some of it is actionable, some not. The death threat is actionable. Judgment for the plaintiff on your claim of threat only. What did you do as a result of getting this
I
text
did make
message?
a police report, Your Honor.
You did? Do you have it with you?
No, ma'am, it was closed out.
Was it closed out with nothing done about it?
They weren't able to trace the fake number that she used back to her, so it was closed. Yes, ma'am. The family court judge found that the Jeffries actions caused my daughter's separation anxiety disorder and the trauma. The counselor testified in our custody judgment.
Listen to
Your
me.
Honor.
I don't care.
Okay.
Does he see his daughter now?
On supervised visits, 2 hours a week.
Just for my own curiosity. They're not together anymore. Why was an order made for supervised visitation?
Because of everything that he had done and because he caused my daughter's separation anxiety and trauma.
Get over it.
We've been doing it for 2 years.
Judgment for the plaintiff on the counterclaim for $500. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
It's a shame that she wasn't able to see through their lies.
It was a bad judgment of mine, and I wish I could take that back, and that's an adult choice that I made, and I wish I couldn't have made it.
I hope they continue to stay broke up and we're able to co-parent.
Hopefully me and Lauren can move on together with co-parenting for our daughter, and hopefully this is the last I hear from Joanna.
You know, Sarah, the parents actually, both of them, impressed me as being two nice people. And from the time of their separation, they seem to have done really well with this little girl.
And there was a wrench thrown in it a little bit.
until Miss Henderson.
Mm-hmm. It's just so unfortunate that you go so long, and co-parenting is hard enough as it is. And you go successfully for, 5 years co-parenting or however long since they had broken up. And you bring someone new into the mix that just does not gel.
People have to know once they have children, there's a saying I used to say, you have to love your children more than you hate each other.
Yep.
Because children don't ask to be born, they are born. Mm-hmm. And it's your job to make sure that they have as successful a childhood as they can. So that has to be your focus. Even if the person that you love, you no longer love. Mm-hmm. You don't like that person anymore.
Yeah.
It matters not. You made this child together. Yeah. That has to be the focus. Sad when you lose sight of that.
I was coming from being chased.
There was no speeding car following you. They should have been right behind you.
I turned, and I guess maybe they kept going straight.
I guess not.
Yeah. This is Judy Justice. Andre Skates is suing motorist Melissa LaChapelle for vehicle and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3132, Skates versus LaChapelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss LaChapelle, I'm going to start with you because this case is relatively simple. You hit his parked car and moved it from the street where it was by virtue of the force of the hit onto somebody else's lawn.
Yes, ma'am.
And the date that you did that was May 1st of last year. What time of the day?
I believe it was in the afternoon.
What do you mean you believe it was in the afternoon? How many times have you hit a parked car?
My first.
Well, then I would know what time it was. Approximately what time was it on May 1st?
Around 2, 3 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
Where were you coming from?
I was coming from being chased.
Where were you coming from?
Prior to the accident, I was just sitting in a parked car. So I was driving, and I had a conference call come in, so I just pulled over so I don't drive.
You pulled over randomly. And parked where?
On Florence and Western.
How far is that from where you hit his parked car?
Maybe about a couple of miles.
Did it take you 5 minutes to get there? 10 minutes to get there? How long were you traveling?
15 minutes.
So you were driving for 15 minutes from the time your car was parked until you got to where you hit his car?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of car were you driving?
A Dodge Journey.
Was it your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it totaled as a result of this accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you're going to tell me the story that you're going to tell me about the circumstances surrounding your hitting his parked car.
Well, on September 16th of 2022, I had a hair appointment. I showed up at my hairdresser, and there was no show, no call. So moving forward, I set an appointment with another young lady in the salon, and I got my hair done. And so when I reached to make the payment to pay her, I came across being scammed. So I explained to
Came across being?
Scammed, like someone hacked my bank account for the funds.
Okay, and you have proof of that from your bank?
No, I do not have that.
So the
My
answer
bank
is,
account.
just a second. So the answer is, you do not have any proof as to the beginning of this story?
No,
Okay.
I have no proof of the bank account being hacked.
Well, but you showed the hairdresser, according to you, that your bank account had been hacked. That's why you couldn't pay her.
Correct.
Well, I'm just asking you for proof of that.
No, I don't have it on me.
So you don't have it?
No.
Well, That's easy enough to get. Your bank account was hacked. We're not talking about 30 years ago. We're talking about a year and a half ago. So you would have had that if the story you're giving me is true. What's the name of the hairdresser? Have you ever used her since?
No, never.
No. What was the name of the hairdresser that you had an appointment with that you didn't see that day? Have you seen her since?
Not since the incident of wrecking his car. I seen her on that day.
So you haven't seen either the person you were supposed to see or the person you stiffed in September of 2022,
No.
right? And then, allegedly, on the day of this incident, you saw one of them?
Yes.
Yes. As you were sitting in a parked car where you had randomly pulled over to make a conference call. I'm just following the story. And then what you said in your answer was these people started to chase you.
They started to vandalize and attack me in my car first.
So you took off.
Yes.
Now, you had been on a conference call. Did you stop the conference call?
I just
a
dropped
second.
the phone.
The answer is you stopped the conference call.
Yes.
But you still had your phone.
Yes.
And somebody was chasing you, according to you, for 15 minutes in your car where you were with your phone. Just want to know that.
Yes, ma'am.
Someone was chasing you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a lot of baloney. Okay, so you hit his parked car. And this was a 1981 Oldsmobile Cutlass, is that right?
Yes.
That you had been working on, restoring. Now, when had you purchased it?
I purchased it in, when did I purchase that? It was
Just a second, the questions get harder. When had you purchased it? A month before, a week before, a year before?
2.5 years ago.
When you purchased the car, who did you purchase it from?
I don't have his last name, but I have it in my phone. But his name was Jose, and he was from San Diego, and that's where I purchased it from.
And how much did you pay him for the car?
I paid him $10,000 for it.
And you also have proof of that?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Well, I don't have proof of it. I don't think I brought the bill of sale with me, though. That sucks. I know you needed that. Do I got the bill of sale? No, I don't have the bill of sale. Hold on. Let me see. It's in my phone from that date. Where'd it go?
Yes or no, sir? That's a very easy thing. Don't waste my time here if you don't have a bill of sale in your phone.
I don't have it in my phone.
Okay. Very good. And you don't have it there. Okay.
Andre Skates claims motorist Melissa LaChapelle owes for damages after Melissa struck his classic Oldsmobile Cutlass. Melissa says she was fleeing from a dangerous situation.
Now, you say that you were notified that your car was hit. You were either on your way to or from work. What kind of work do you do?
Security.
And you left your house. I assume it's a private house. Do you rent or do you own?
I rent.
How much do you pay in rent?
$1,000.
To whom?
To the landlord.
How do you pay him?
I pay him through Cash App.
And you were driving to work, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of car do you have?
2008 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT.
Do you have a note on the car or do you owe it free and clear?
Yes, I do have a note on it.
And you pay for your car payment from a bank account, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'd like to see your bank account where you paid $10,000 for this car.
Oh, you'd like to see it? Oh.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that. Because I assume if I said to you, could I see a check for the $10,000, you don't have a check.
No, because I pay cash.
Just a second. Well, you don't carry $10,000 in cash because you can transfer the cash just like you do for your landlord.
Yes,
right?
Yes. And you don't want to carry
for
that
your
money.
car payment. So that's the way your generation, not mine, but your generation pay things. They walk over to a machine and they go like this with their phone, and it's paid. So you pay your other bills that way, sir. So you don't walk around with cash. I want to see where you had $10,000 in the bank 2 years ago.
I know you're going to ask me that. Okay.
You want to see a photo?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Audubon Classics. So tell me how much this is. Oldsmobile Cutlass. Okay.
So they range. There's some that are very expensive, like $28,000 that I've seen that are fully restored. And then there are some, like this one was $22,000. But then there's
This
some,
is the 81, yeah.
Yeah, but then there are some that were not restored that I saw for about $8,000 or $9,000.
Mm-hmm. Not restored.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Wiley's, look, you have a copy of the police report?
No, we didn't have a police report because no one was injured.
That's not why you don't have a police report on that kind of an accident. Could have killed somebody. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Skates, let's go. Do you have it or do you not have it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it. It was 2 years ago, so I got to go all the way back.
Well, you should have had it with you. You're suing her for $10,000. So all I want to see is how much you paid for the car. You say you paid $10,000.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have a bill of sale. I just want to see where you had $10,000 in the bank and then it was paid out to Jose. You do understand, Mr. Skates, that would be on you. You have a whole bunch of papers there. You do not have a bill of sale on the car. You don't have any proof of what you paid for the car except your word that you paid $10,000 for it. It's very easy to go back and get those records. We're not talking about 30 years ago.
No.
I know. You got a whole lot of papers there that are irrelevant. And your insurance company, according to you, valued the car at $3,500 and paid you because you did have insurance on it.
Yes.
So all I want to see is what you paid for it.
No, I'm trying to...
Just a second. You have a video of this accident?
Yeah, I do.
Keep looking.
Okay, all right.
Do you have a video of this accident?
Yes, I do.
Play it. I want to see what the car looked like. Play it one more time. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm just looking, by the way, Miss LaChapelle, for the people who are chasing you. Because now you hit the car, they should have been right behind you. They were chasing you, right? I'm looking at this, and now you're all slowed down because you fit a car. I don't see one car pass by there. Not a one.
Correct.
Yes, correct. Of course, it's correct.
I turned, and I guess maybe they kept going straight. And then that's when I had the accident.
I guess not. Okay. Mr. Skates, I want to tell you, your exercise in exploring your phone to find proof that you paid $10,000 for this car is going nowhere. Got it?
Yes.
Now, you insured the car, correct? This old car, because it was going to have value once you restored it.
Yes.
Now, restored, the average price is about $10,000. That's what Sarah tells me, correct?
It ranges, but I could find a couple if you want.
No, it ranges 9, 10, 11. It can go anywhere around that amount, but that's fully restored, right?
Well, restored means like when that's mint condition. Like, 'cause when it's in mint condition, that's how much it would go for, like 9 or 10,000. But the features that were on the car were extra couple little features that people like on those cars, which is the stick in the floor and the T-top features that are on there that people
I have
like
no idea, sir. Show me what the car looked like before she hit it.
There you go, right here. This is the one with the rims. Here goes one. Where's the other one at?
Oh, that's good looking. Now, when you bought the car, sir, was it running? Were you able to drive it back from Jose's?
No, I had to get it towed.
So when you bought it, it was not running?
No.
So you didn't pay $10,000 for it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I don't believe that, sir. There's one car available for sale that's a 1981 Oldsmobile Cutlass that's drivable, that's $5,100, not fully restored. That's today.
That's why I was saying the features that it has on
I don't care about the features. You bought a non-running car that had to be restored to running so that you could resell it. You hoped for a profit, but there's no way you spent $10,000 on the car, because then if you were putting in all new parts and restoring it, you would never be able to recoup your money.
Yes, you can.
No.
Can I explain? Because I put a lot of money into it, and the resale value once...
Just a second.
Okay.
So far, I don't believe that you paid $10,000 for it, not running. Now you're going to show me what you put into the car.
Okay.
You see, if you told me the truth, sir, and if the insurance company only paid you $3,500, I would have paid you what the value of a non-running car would be, plus everything that you put into it, less the $3,500 that the insurance company paid you for it. So if you have everything that you put into it, the only thing you don't have is what you paid for it. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct on that part.
Okay, so now let me see what you put into it.
Oh.
Trace Gates has accused motorist Melissa LaChapelle of crashing into his classic Oldsmobile Cutlass. Melissa claims she was being chased by another vehicle.
Now, all of your receipts for the car parts that you purchased total $9,393. Less the $3,500 that you were paid by your insurance leaves just for the parts alone $5,893. Even if you paid $5,000 for the car, you're at $10,000. Do you understand?
Yes.
So if you would given me a figure that I understood, because right now you want me to believe that a man who works very hard in security paid $10,000 for the car and $10,000 for parts.
Yes.
And the average range for the car is?
Between 9 and 18.
Between 9 and 18,000.
Yes.
To buy a restored car, and you've already put in $20,000 in the car before you sold it. And I don't even know if it was ready to be sold. Do you understand?
That's how much I was going to sell it for. It was like $20,000. That's what I was trying to explain.
Just how I understand that. You've already, if you want me to believe, sir, that you bought the car for 10, you're already at 20. So even if you sold the car for its highest price, which is 20, you'd be breaking even. That's not what you bought it for.
Well, no.
You bought it to make money.
No, I bought it to keep it, actually, because it was a sentimental
What?
value. I said I bought it to keep it because this was something that I wanted to have for a while, because this was something that was kind of sentimental to me, because we all used to ride these cars when I was younger, so it was something that I kind of enjoyed and liked, and I wanted to keep it. I wasn't planning on selling it right away once I finished.
How old are you?
44.
So what you're telling me is you remember driving around in this car when you were 2 years old?
No, in my 20s.
You know, I want to introduce you both to the truth. Hello, how are you? I understand who you are. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Skates, you're owed some money from her, even though you've inflated some figures. She owes you some money. Do you have any reports from the police on this?
I have the vehicle incident report.
I'd like to see it, please. Can I see just the proof from your insurance company, please, of what they paid you out on the car? And her insurance paid you, is that right?
No.
Was your insurance?
Oh, you said my insurance? Yeah, my insurance paid me, not her.
Why didn't you? Hey.
Her insurance paid me.
Put your phone down.
Oh, I have it on my email.
Why didn't your insurance pay him out?
I didn't have insurance. I was switching my insurance policy to a new company.
Oh.
And I got
So
into
just
an
a second.
accident.
So when there was a traffic report, you told the police you had AAA insurance, because that's what's in the report.
No, they asked me for my information, and that's what I told them.
Well, I said that's what you told them. You told them that you had insurance and AAA was your insurance company.
Well,
and that's a lie.
The paperwork.
Just a
that I
second.
had.
That's a lie. You told them that you had insurance and you didn't have insurance and there was no speeding car following you.
I did not tell them I had insurance. I told them the truth, that the same thing I told you.
No, you didn't, because then they would have given you a summons for driving your car without insurance if you created that kind of an accident. Did they give you a summons? No.
No.
Okay. Some piece of work. So your policy limit was $3,500. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where is the car now?
The car?
It's not an answer. Where is the car now?
In front of my yard.
Okay, so you have it.
Yes.
And this incident took place on May 1st.
Yes.
Why is it still at your house?
Because I plan on getting another one and rebuilding it.
So you plan on using it?
Well, I plan on using it for parts because I can't do anything else with it.
Or you plan on using it for parts, whatever it is. Do you have a photograph of it?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
There's a couple more.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way you can use this car. Why don't you just scrap it?
Well, because I was planning on, if I took her to court and wanted some money, I was going to try to buy another one, rebuild it, use some of the parts off of that one, and try to get my car back, you know? That's just, I mean, it's a big loss for me. But, I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, that's all, only way I can see I can get back, you know?
Okay. Valuing the car at $10,000, which is $9,000 what you put into the car. I have no idea what you paid for it. You got $3,500. I'm awarding you a judgment, sir, of $6,500 against the defendant. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $6,500. We're finished here. I would have taken your license away.
This court is adjourned.
Because I was running from someone chasing me for my life. It was self-defense.
That she was being chased by some girls, that they stole some hair or something like that. And I was like, well, where are they? We didn't see anybody there. If they were chasing you, why didn't they stop and come and get you? Why didn't you crash? Because that was their time to get you if they were going to get you.
Because the person was not turned down the street as me, so it is what it is.
But then she mentioned it to the judge, but didn't mention it to the police. And she said it to me because I was wondering why you were going so fast down a narrow street with a bump on it. And that's what she said, that some girls were chasing her over some hair.
I am still driving, but not that vehicle. It's total.
It's time to get a new one.
You know, common sense is a great indicator of truth. And I think that if the defendant's story was true, that she was being chased and harassed by these two hairdressers, you have your phone in your car. You laid it out perfectly, that you make a quick 911. You call them and you say, oh my God, these crazy people are chasing me. or none of it ever happened.
Or when you finally cause an accident like that and your car is severely damaged, and there's nobody chasing you.
Yeah.
You stop to wait for the police, and when the police finally come, because she was looking to boot out of there, you say, these women were chasing me. I know who they were.
Yeah.
You would create a police report.
Yep.
Just a whole lot of who shot John. It's unbelievable to me that people can make up interesting stories. In 2022, she had one hairdresser appointment. She had
Very intricate.
Very, very intricate. Nobody has any proof.
Yeah, they never do.
Sometimes they do, but not in fishtails like this. Okay, so you're crossing the street. He honked the horn at you. You flipped him off.
He gets out, and he starts to get loud. That's when he pulled out about an 8-inch combat knife.
Dumb and Dumber.
Next day is when we really had an altercation.
Oh, so this is just an appetizer.
This is Judy Justice. Lucille Chacon is suing her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, for damage after Seth attacked her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3105, Chacon versus Kaufman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Chacon, you are here today because you believe that the defendant is responsible for damage that was done to your car.
Yes.
Your car that was being driven by your grandson.
Yes.
This is the grandson.
Yes.
They had some altercation, and one or both of them may have gotten a little bit injured during the course of the altercation. But what took the most of a beating was your automobile.
Yes.
Were you present during that incident?
Not while the incident was happening, but I did come out later on.
Well, I'm not interested in what happened later on, because the defendant's position is that it was your grandson that precipitated this whole problem, and he was merely reacting to what your grandson had done. So since you were not a witness to any of this, I'm going to have you change places with your grandson.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Tell me your name.
My name is James Abeda.
James.
Yes.
How old are you, James?
I'm 19 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a plumber.
Your first name?
Seth.
How old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a cook.
Where?
At a senior living in Oceanside.
Both working. Hallelujah moment. A 19 and a 22-year-old who were actually employed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you know him?
I didn't know him until this altercation happened, and I found out he was my neighbor.
Okay. This incident happened on...
I think it was September 15th.
So you live next door to each other?
I believe he lives in the apartment next to mine, yes.
How long have you lived in your apartment?
About 6 years, but I haven't always stayed with my grandmother, and that's where she stays, and I stay with her currently.
Could you speak a little slower and try to keep the hair out of your eyes when you're talking to me?
Yes.
Thank you. On September 15th, where were you living?
With my grandmother in Torrance.
And is that where you live as well?
Yes, it is.
Prior to September 15th, you didn't know each other?
I didn't. Not at all.
Okay. So why don't you start out by telling me what happened on September 15th, starting out with the time?
My first time interacting with him, I was crossing the street to go to work with channel locks, boots, and other...
With what?
With like channel locks, pliers for work.
I had those in my hand along with boots and other things that I needed. And as I was almost gonna finish crossing the street, he started to honk, and I flipped him off because...
Okay, so he was driving.
Yes.
So you were crossing the street.
Yes.
He was driving. Were you walking slowly? Just a second, Seth. So he was walking slowly.
Very, very slowly.
How very, very
Like
slowly? Just
the-
listen to me. Listen, what I want you to do is, who is this?
Oh, that's my girlfriend.
This is your girlfriend. I want you to stand between your girlfriend and the desk. Right here. Right there. Now I want you to walk in front of your bench and show me how fast he was walking.
Probably about this, like...
No, that's
like a
not true.
snail's pace.
Yeah, that's not true. Now go back, and I want you to rethink this again, Seth. I want you to rethink it. Do you understand?
Yes.
You know how old I am? Nobody crosses the street like that, sir, unless they're looking to irritate you. And you hadn't even had any contact with him before that, so he wasn't walking backwards. Now show me how he was walking.
Probably about...
But that's okay. That's better. Now go back. Okay. Did he have the right of way? Is not an answer.
He did not.
All pedestrians have the right of way, sir.
It wasn't on a crossing guard.
So he was crossing in the middle of the street?
Yes, between the median.
Explain that to me.
There's a median between the street on Artesia, and it was like walking off of there. No like crosswalk or anything.
What time was this?
It was in the morning, I think about 10 a.m.
Okay, so you're crossing the street. Wasn't fast enough for him. He honked the horn at you. You flipped him off.
Yes.
Okay, let's go from there.
And then when I flipped him off, he got very mad, and he...
Just tell me what he did. Don't tell me he got mad. That is his state of mind. Just tell me what he did. Okay. You flipped him off. Did you say anything?
No, I didn't at that point. He was in his car with the windows up.
Okay, was he alone?
He was with his girlfriend at the time.
That would be you.
Yes.
Do me a favor, please. Kevin, take her outside. This way. Okay, so he's with his girlfriend. You flipped him off now.
So he parks his car in the middle of the street.
He stops in the middle of the street?
Yes, and he gets out, and he starts to get loud. He's like, you need to learn some respect, and...
Is that what he said to you? You have to learn some respect?
Yes, he said, like, something along the lines of, I'm going to teach you some respect, or you need to learn some respect, because I had flipped him off, and...
Just a minute. So far, Seth, listen to me. You're driving your car with your girlfriend. He's walking very slowly. You honk your horn at him. He turns around. He flips you off. You stop the car. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Not yeah. Not yeah. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am is even better.
Lucille Chacon claims her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, damaged her car during a fight with her grandson, James.
Okay, you stopped the car. Did you get out of the car?
Yes, because I was...
Just a second. You stopped the car. When you stopped the car, you stopped the car in the middle of the street.
I pulled off to the side.
Was it in a parking lane?
Yes.
Listen, was it in a parking lane that you pulled over?
Yes.
Okay, so you pulled over into a parking lane and got out of your car?
Yes, and put on my emergency lights as well.
Well, what was the emergency? Think about that for a second. I want you to tell me what the emergency was. Is not an answer.
It's not an answer, you're right, ma'am. He was yelling obscenities at me, so I yelled some obscenities back.
No. He wasn't yelling obscenities to you, sir. He flipped you off.
He left out the part where he also yelled obscenities at me.
You mean after you honked the horn at him?
Yes.
What did he say?
Along the...
Not along the line. I want you to think about what he said. You know, I got a crystal ball here. I want you to think about what he said, and you can tell me. Nothing makes me blush.
He basically just said...
Not basic. Listen,
he said
basically is a filler word. What did he say?
Am I allowed to cuss, ma'am, here? Because it was curse words.
Are you allowed to say it? I said to you, I've heard everything.
He basically said I was a...
Not basically,
ma'am.
Not basically. What did he say?
He said I was a... He said I was a bitch. He said I was a lot of things.
Now, just a second. Now, he said all these things to you while he was crossing the street and flipping you off.
Yes.
No, I'm not sure I buy that. my friend Seth. I think they may have said those things to you after you stopped and you started to argue with him. But all that didn't happen. You're driving in a driving lane. You honk your horn because you're a little impatient, which is sort of stupid, but you're only 22. And he flips you off. You pull off to the side. This all happened very fast.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Common sense. That's what the world is all about. You pull off and then you get out, and then you start back and forth with him.
No, Judge. Because he actually did start yelling obscenities when I had my windows down. He mentioned the fact that my windows were up. They were not. They were down because it was a hot day. So I could hear him yelling the obscenities because it was when he started flipping me off. It was...
Yeah, so why don't you just keep going? What difference does it make to you? If he calls you a couple of names, you're in the car with your girlfriend, what difference does it make? You keep moving.
Ego, I guess, ma'am.
Well, you can call it ego, you can call it the stupid gene, you can call it whatever you want, but you don't pull over in your car because somebody calls you a name after you act like a jerk and honk your horn at them as they're crossing the street and get out of your car. Okay, so now you're an idiot. Now let's move forward. So now you're yelling at each other. Next.
After that, he said we could fight.
No, look here.
Sorry, he said we could fight, so...
He said to you could fight?
Yeah, we both...
No, not we both. I want to know what he said to you. He's crossing the street. He's got things in his hands. According to you, he says to you, do you want to fight?
Yes. Yes,
and?
And I agreed.
And you said, sure, I want to fight.
Yeah. It's mutual combat.
Dumb and dumber. Go ahead. So he said, do you want to fight? You said, sure. This is all because you honked your horn because somebody wasn't walking fast enough in front of your car. You know how stupid that sounds?
Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I'm aware it sounds stupid now coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. You know, what you got to say is, I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, keep going.
After he agreed to that...
He agreed to fight with you?
Yeah, he agreed. After that, when it was just me and him, my girlfriend was trying to tell me, like, just stop. We can both, like, just leave, which I should have listened to her. I understand that. Yes.
Was she still in the car?
No, she had come out with me to, like, try to dissolve the situation.
Okay, so, you know, she's out someplace now where she can't hear what's going on here, which is why I had her escorted from the courtroom. So she's going to tell me that when you pulled over, she said, do not get out of the car.
Yeah.
Don't get out of the car.
Yes.
That sounds like something I would say to my husband when somebody cuts him off and he pulls off and he goes running out of the car. I say, you're 90 years old. Who are you going to fight with? Go ahead. You know, but sometimes you don't get smarter. Sometimes the work in progress just gets stunted. Keep going.
After that, when we both agreed to
fight, and your girlfriend is telling you...
Trying to stop me from doing everything. That's when he pulled out about an 8-inch combat knife that was completely camouflaged. Wish I had a picture of it. But it was about that big enough to hurt me, basically. Like,
I don't care what size a knife is. A knife is a knife is a knife. It could be an inch long.
I agree.
A knife.
But yeah, it was a pretty big knife. And then after that, when we were just yelling at each other, I didn't leave after he pulled out the knife because I was kind of like, I can't believe you pulled out a knife on me. I was just shocked by it. A neighbor came over and started trying to break us up as well. And so did my father. My father came over because he just so happened to be outside and tried to stop us too. So that day it got dissolved, like the whole situation.
And?
The next day is when we really had an altercation.
Oh, so this is just an appetizer.
Yes.
Of what happened the next day, which was September 16th.
Yes.
So now your father is there, your girlfriend is there, you're separated.
Yes.
Then you saw each other again the next day.
Correct.
Take it from there. Now you saw each other the next day. What happened the next day? So far we don't have anything except, did you take out a knife on the 15th? That's an answer, yes or no?
No.
You did not?
No.
You did not have a knife with you?
Yes, I did.
You did. Where was it?
In my waistband.
So it was there?
Yes.
Okay. And visible?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of a knife was it?
A camouflage knife with a...
How big?
About this big.
Okay. And who else was out there? He was there with his girlfriend, and his father came to sort of break things up, and it was broken up, and you got back into your car and drove off.
Yes.
So far, correct?
Yes.
Let's go to the next day.
So the next day, I was sitting in my car in front of the apartment that I live at.
You mean your grandmother's car?
Yes. And I noticed that he was like on the median that he was talking about on Artesia. He was already crossed on that side, and he was with his girlfriend. And he had noticed that I was sitting in my car, and he had already had his knife out, and he came up to me, and he tried stabbing me. He stuck his knife in the car, already yelling before I could even acknowledge his existence. He came up to me yelling, upset, and he.
What was he yelling?
He was like, "What's up?" He was like, "What's up? What happened yesterday? Like, what about yesterday? You called me. What about now?" Because he had a knife now, and I guess the day before he felt like he didn't. So he came up to me with a knife and immediately stuck it in the window, tried poking me, and as I tried to get out, he kicked the door about 5 times while I was trying to get out, crushing me and also shutting the door as I'm trying to get out. And by the time I got out...
What were you trying to get out for?
To not get stabbed, because I couldn't pull off because he was on the left side of my car, and that's the side I needed to go onto the road, so I couldn't drive off.
Unless you ran him over.
Yeah, and I didn't want to kill him.
He had a knife. He was stabbing you.
Yeah.
You could have killed him.
Lucille Chacon and her grandson, James, are accusing their neighbor, Seth Kaufman, of damaging her car during a fight with James.
Okay, keep going.
So at that point, I got out and I followed him.
Okay, just a second. So then you were able to get out of your car because he walked away.
He didn't walk away.
Well, then, because you say you were following him, which means that you were behind him, which means he was walking away.
No, he was facing me and I was facing him, and I was kind of like walking him back around my car because I was trying to go to my gate and get inside instead of driving off.
Well, why didn't you drive off? Now he's away from the car. Why didn't you just drive off?
I just didn't want to get stabbed. I wasn't sure what to do. It all happened very fast.
So you didn't want to get stabbed, so you got out of your car?
Yeah, and I was trying to go inside.
Is that pretty stupid, right?
Yeah, well, I was trying to avoid hitting him with the car.
Nah. Go.
He was parked in the fire lane, and there was no cars in front of him. He could have pulled off if he...
No, not coulda, woulda, shoulda. Just tell me what happened.
I was walking across the street. Me and my girlfriend were actually having a little bit of a spat.
My girlfriend and I.
Oh, my girlfriend and I, you're right. We're having a little bit of a spat. She was leaving. I was going across the street to go, talk to her, settle things down.
So you were having a fight with your girlfriend?
Yeah, little altercation.
What were you having a fight about?
I don't even remember. Something small and stupid, probably. And then while I was walking across the street, I heard James from his car, who put down his window, start yelling at me. Again, more obscenities. You're a bitch, you're this, you're that. So I thought he wanted to start stuff again. And it seemed like he did. So I walked up, I started talking to him. Like, do you want to fight again? The exact same thing I said the day before, and the exact same thing happened. He pulled out a knife that he had in his waistband, and yeah, we just kept yelling at each other back and forth. My girlfriend, again, tried to get in between us and stop everything that was going on.
Okay, so what you're saying to me that he instigated what happened on the 16th of September by shouting at you when you were crossing the street to talk to your girlfriend.
Exactly.
And then you came back to the car to confront him as to why he's calling you names again.
Exactly.
And then from inside his car, he took out a knife?
The exact same knife, yes.
The exact same knife?
Yes.
And what did you have?
Nothing.
Now, you knew he had a knife from the day before.
Yes, I did.
So why would you go over to his car unless you yourself had some sort of something to protect yourself with?
I didn't really care about protecting myself. I was just more angry than anything. And that does sound stupid, but it's the truth. I was just really upset with the fact that we could have had mutual combat the day before, which we both are adults, we agreed to. Could have done that, but he wanted to pull out a weapon when there was...
This all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street.
Yes, this all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street, yes.
Mm-hmm. How did Mrs. Chacon's car get damaged?
When I was trying to defend myself from him, like I said, he had a pretty big knife. He says that he was following me.
No. I asked you a question. He did not damage his own car.
He did not.
You damaged his car. How did you damage his car, and with what? What?
I guess my body when I was trying to defend myself.
Well,
I didn't even realize it happened until it happened.
Yeah, but I'm going to see pictures of it, I assume. Do you have photographs? I assume I'm going to see pictures of the damage to the car.
I do not have photos of the car.
No, they do.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as you're concerned, you don't know exactly how their car got damaged?
No, not exactly.
Did you break a window?
That's what they told me I did.
No. You were there.
I was there. I don't remember doing that, though. I don't.
Did you break a windshield?
I believe it was the back, not window, but the little tiny part that's connected to your back window in the back of your car? One of those tiny ones. Not the window, but the little glass part over.
A little glass part, that's usually called a window.
Yeah.
What about holes in the car?
Holes?
Holes. Would there be any pictures of holes in the car?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. And would there be any marks where there was any kicking to the car?
There shouldn't have been. No, ma'am.
You don't remember kicking the car?
No, I don't.
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
BMW.
Okay. Now, let's go back. Now he's with the girlfriend. Pick it up.
So he's...
September 16th, you're in your car, sitting in the fire lane. Did you hear what he just told me?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
No, it's not. He damaged my car when I had gotten out of it. We went to the back, and that's where I had to go to my gate and
Go to your what?
To my gate inside of my apartment. And his girlfriend was screaming to just stop everything because the day before it was something traumatic, I'm sure, for her as well already. And it was the same, like calling each other that. And so we were just standing there across from each other on the sidewalk. And then he backed, because he's close to my car, so he kind of backhands it. And he does that to the trunk. And his hand goes through the glass, so it cuts him. And the back of the car has a hole in it.
Can I see photographs of the damage? Oh, well, that would be what we call a, look, like a 2-year-old. That would be called a window. What I want you to do is, I see the broken window. What I want you to do, James, is Kevin is going to give you a pen, something that will show up on this, and I want you to make a circle as to where you allege there's damage to your car, your grandmother's car, other than the window.
I believe there was one more picture in the stack that showed the door that he kicked.
Well, I'd like to see it. Okay. What's the damage here? To where the
like a scratch, like a line across.
And what was that made with?
I think with a knife.
Okay, good. Now, Kevin, would you go and bring in Mr. Kaufman's girlfriend? What is her name?
Kyla.
He attempted to slash her with a knife.
Correct. No.
You were taken into police custody.
They tried to charge me with assault with a deadly weapon.
Was this the first time you ever spent time in jail? Of course not. It's clear to me that your grandson has some growing up to do.
This is Judy Justice. Previously on Judy Justice.
Ms. Khan, you are here today because you believe that the defendant is responsible for damage that was done to your car that was being driven by your grandson.
Yes.
My first time interacting with him, as I was almost gonna finish crossing the street, he started to honk, and I flipped him off.
And?
The next day is when we really had an altercation.
I was sitting in my car. He came up to me with a knife and immediately stuck it in the window, tried poking me. He kicked the door about 5 times while I was trying to get out.
How did Mrs. Chacon's car get damaged? So as far as you're concerned, you don't know exactly how their car got damaged.
No.
Now, Kevin, would you go and bring in Mr. Kaufman's girlfriend? What is her name?
Kyla.
And now, the conclusion. Lucille Chacon is suing her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, for car damages resulting from a fight with her grandson.
Now you can sit down. I want to talk to Kyla. You can sit down. Kyla, what's your last name?
Steed, S-T-E-E-D.
How long have you and Seth been a couple?
Going on 2 years now.
He has bad temper.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. We're going to go back because you were driving in the car with him.
Yes.
Plaintiff's grandson was crossing the street. Where were you going?
I don't really remember.
Think.
Probably to the store, or like to get something to eat.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You live together?
No. Well, yes.
Just a second. That's either a yes?
Yes.
Or a no, or a sometimes. It's never a maybe.
It's a yes.
Where do you live together?
I live in his car.
You live in his car?
Yes.
And where does he live?
He lives with his mom.
How long have you been living in his car?
A good minute. I'm not sure.
A month, a week, 6 months?
I don't know. Can't think of the time.
Do you ever go to his mom's house?
Sometimes.
You ever stay over at his mom's house?
Sometimes.
Okay. So I want you to tell me what happened on September 15th when the plaintiff crossed the street.
I don't really remember. Yeah, I can't really remember.
Where do you come from? Where do you live now? In what county, city?
Oceanside.
California?
Yes.
How old are you?
22.
So I'm going to try to refresh your recollection so that we can start.
Okay.
Because not remembering doesn't work for me.
Okay.
This young man was crossing the street. You're driving with your boyfriend in his car where you sometimes live. You're a passenger, he's a driver. Okay. He's crossing the street. Your boyfriend honks the horn. He flips him off.
Okay.
Your boyfriend pulls over into a parking lane, puts on his hazards, according to him. What do you say to your boyfriend?
I think I just follow him and...
Followed him where?
To go get back in the car, basically.
That's what you told him. So far, so good. Get back into the car, let it go. When he pulled the car over, did you tell him to let it go and just go?
I think so.
Think.
I just remember, I don't remember.
Okay. You've been with him 2 years, correct?
Yes.
And the place where he lives, his father also lives. Is that right?
Yes.
What's his father like?
He's a pretty nice guy.
Did you ever see Seth with a knife?
No.
Does he have one?
Not that I know of.
Does he have any weapon?
Not that
you ever saw?
No.
What about his father?
His father have a weapon?
Mm-hmm. Ever see?
Not that I know of.
Now I want you to go back to back in your memory, to the next day. This is the day after this incident happened in the street. And ultimately, his father was there. Between you and his father, you got him to separate, and you all went on your merry way.
Yes.
On the 15th. Now I want you to think back to the 16th, which is the day after.
Okay.
You and your boyfriend were outside, and you were having an argument.
Yes.
And you walked away from him, and you went to the median in the street.
Yes.
Okay. What was the argument about?
I did something to upset him.
What did you do?
I was talking to another guy.
That he saw, or that was on a text?
It was on a text.
Okay. And so he was upset?
Yes.
Where had you been right before you got outside?
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's when we were at his dad's house, inside his dad's house.
So you were at Dad's house?
And if not, it was either in his dad's house or outside in the car.
Okay. Was he yelling at you? What was he saying to you? I mean, I could understand him being pretty upset. I mean, after all, he let you live in his car.
Remember.
Right? And now he sees you talking on the phone. What he said is he sees you talking on the phone to texting, probably, another guy.
Yes.
And he's angry.
Yes.
And he has a little bit of a temper that you've seen occasionally. I would say that that's probably true, right? You saw it the day before. So you started to walk away.
Yes.
And did he follow you?
Yes, he did.
Followed you.
Yes.
And what was he saying as he followed you?
I don't remember. I think he was trying to get me to leave.
What do you mean? You were already leaving?
Yeah. Or I really don't remember. I'm pretty sure he was trying to get me to, like, not be around him anymore.
So what was he saying to you? And was he saying it in a loud way or in a quiet way?
Like medium, like not so loud, but like still loud.
So he's following you into the median, and then you're there. So you actually saw everything that happened. Where was the plaintiff's car?
I think it was across the street.
Yes. And so you saw his plaintiff's car. Now he's coming out after you, and he is angry.
Yes.
Go ahead. I want you to tell me next about what happened in the confrontation between Seth and James and the car.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Don't say I don't remember.
Okay.
Let's go.
I really can't remember.
Would you have remembered better if you were sitting in the courtroom and you heard him testify? Would you have remembered better?
Yes.
That's why you weren't here.
Lucille Chacon claims her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, owes for car damages after fighting with her grandson, James.
Now tell me what happened.
I don't remember. I remember
You do understand, Seth. You do understand, Seth, that because she can't remember, you're going to pay for the damage to the car. You do understand that.
I do not understand.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, if she is so intimidated by you that she can't tell me.
Oh, you think it's
that
him?
she can't tell me what happened on September 16th. That she can't tell me what happened on September 16th, and she's your witness. You're going to pay for the damage to the car. Do you understand? I want you to be clear about that. Kyla, if you can't remember, he's going to pay for the damage to the car.
Okay.
You understand?
I understand.
Now, do you have any memory of what happened on September 16th other than the fact that he was angry that you were texting with another guy?
I remember crossing the street, and then next thing I know is I hear yelling. So I turn around, and they're going at each other.
What does that mean? Tell me.
They're yelling at each other.
Just yelling?
Just yelling.
Okay, and so now you have to watch them. They're yelling at each other.
I get in between them.
Because they're yelling at each other. You walked over to where they were.
Yes.
And physically put your body in between them.
Yes.
Okay. Was James in his car or out of his car?
I think he started off in his car. And
that's correct.
I don't remember how it started, but he had somehow tried to get out. I guess my boyfriend kicked the door, and then that's when he grabbed it. Like, he had got out eventually, and then he had a knife in his hand. James did.
Yes.
And that's when I kind of backed up, but I was still trying to tell Seth to, like, let's just go and leave it alone.
Smart.
And after that, it kind of just ended. The cops had came.
Okay, good. Now you can change places with each other. Okay. Now I'll see an estimate for the damage. Now they have to put a window in the car and take out a dent. What happened when the police came, James?
When the police showed up, they arrested both of us and separated us almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure where they put him, but they put me in the back of a cop car.
And then what happened?
And then I was taken to jail. And they tried to charge me with assault with a deadly weapon, but they realized soon that I was a victim and they dropped all charges.
Don't tell me what they realized. You were arrested, and at the time of your arrest, you had the knife with you.
It was in the grass somewhere.
You had thrown it in the grass?
Yes.
Okay. So at the time, I love this job. So at the time of your arrest, despite the fact that he told them that you had a knife, you disposed of the knife. So at the time that the police came, you had no knife.
Yes.
Great. Love this. Okay. Did you have the window? Now you can sit down. Well, just don't sit down. You can stand next to your grandmother. He did not cause $4,000 of damage to your car, madam. You had to have the dent taken out, maybe two, and you had to replace a window, which is a big deal. Do you know how much that was?
I haven't replaced it. I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. The window's still broken. The dents are still in the car. And there's also a scratch right around the car. And
I don't know how that happened.
There's more than 2 dents. There's about 4 or 5 dents in the door.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him drive the car anymore. Do you let him drive the car anymore?
He has to get to work, and I can't always take him.
So the answer is you still let him drive the car?
Yes.
So you drive the car and you leave it outside with a broken window?
Well, we have the window covered so
with what?
The rain doesn't get in there. And we're using my car right now. We very seldom use the BMW now. It's parked in the back.
Sarah, could you please find there the cost of fixing the window, if you can?
Sure.
So you disposed of the weapon before you were taken into police custody. Were you ultimately let go?
Yes, after 3 days.
So you spent 3 days in jail?
Yeah.
Did you see a lawyer?
I don't believe I did.
You had to have been arraigned.
It was a public defender.
Well, that's a lawyer.
I wasn't quite sure.
That the person was a lawyer?
Or a public defender. I don't know the difference, to be honest.
Public defender is a lawyer.
Or
who does it cheaper. But I want a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. I have a legal aid.
I see for a tint glass, but it doesn't break out besides taxable parts and labor, but it doesn't break out for...
See if you can look up replacing a BMW small window, Sarah.
Okay.
See if you can find that, because that's what he's going to do.
Actually, I think there's a line item here, rear door stationary vent glass, remove, replace, $133 at the very bottom, the last line item, if you want to just take a look. And then there is an additional tint glass. Here, I'll just circle it. I circled it for an additional $75.
Your Honor, may I speak?
Mm-hmm.
He also put a dent in the back of in the trunk with his knife.
He didn't have a knife.
He did have
no.
a knife.
Maybe. But so far I have no proof that he had a knife. I know he had a knife.
Okay.
I know he had a knife that he was smart enough to dispose of before he was arrested. Do you understand?
I understand.
Very good.
Lucille Chacon claims the defendant, Seth Kaufman, refuses to pay for car damages after starting a fight with her grandson, James.
What I'm telling you is he was smart enough to dispose of his knife before he was arrested. Do you understand? If the police had found the knife on him, probably would have been a whole different story. Was this the first time you ever spent time in jail?
No.
Of course not. Immediately prior to this incident, when had you been in jail before?
About a week.
For what?
Domestic violence.
Against whom?
My ex-girlfriend.
Great. What happened with that case?
She attacked me, so I smacked her once, and then some neighbors saw and called the cops.
Mm-hmm. Now, that was about a week before. Immediately prior to that?
That was it, the domestic violence and then assault with a deadly weapon.
Two things?
Yes.
It's the only time that you've been arrested?
Yes.
Really? What about you?
Well, I didn't get arrested that day.
No. Prior to September 16th, when had you been arrested immediately before?
Never.
Never?
I had been detained before. But
You've been what?
Detained, where they'd sit you on the curb and stuff, but never arrested. Me and my girlfriend were having a spat outside. We got detained because the neighbor said we were too loud, but we weren't arrested. We were just talked to, told to quiet down, and then we all went on our way.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this, Ms. Chacon. You got to stop thinking that he's an innocent victim. Do you understand?
Yes.
He's 19 years old, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
74.
Ever been arrested?
No.
I'm 81. Never been arrested. 26. Never been arrested. I don't even have to go on this side. You got the gist of what I'm saying to you. He's 19. He was arrested twice within 1 week. Doesn't that tell you something?
Either he's several times, yes.
We talked about what?
About him staying out of trouble and just concentrating on working, which is what he's doing now.
Okay.
And he did have the money to buy that car. He had worked a whole year putting money away for the down payment on the BMW.
And?
So he's very responsible. And also on the police report, it was mentioned that they believe he hit the window with the back of the knife, and that's how he cut his hand.
Oh, I'd like to see the police report, please, before I make a decision about how much your grandson is going to contribute to fixing the car. Because both of these characters acted inappropriately. You would agree with that, Ms. Chacon, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Perfect. So that they should both bear the responsibility. One, it's really Dumb and Dumber. Oh, so the same police officer who arrested you this time arrested you in the domestic violence case?
Yes.
Let's read on. How come neither one of you told me? Stand up. Over there. Did you tell the police that he tried to stab her with a knife?
Yes, I did.
How come in all this conversation that we had today so far, we've been at this for 40 minutes, I never heard from you that he tried to slash her with a knife?
I didn't want to talk out of turn, and I was waiting for my turn to talk.
You idiot.
There was a few things
You're idiot.
left out.
So far, I have to tell you what you've told me about yourself, that you got out of your car because someone disrespected you, right? That you went over to him because you had a big fight with your girlfriend about something else. That you told me. The most important thing that's in this police report is your claim that everybody else denies, that he attempted to slash her with a knife.
Correct.
That you forgot to tell me.
Yes. Okay. Let's all forget it and didn't have the time to.
Okay, I'm finished with this case. I don't have to read it anymore. It's clear to me that cross your hands.
Sorry.
It's clear to me that your grandson has some growing up to do. First, you should get him take the hair out of his eyes. He'd be more successful. He could see where he's going. Second thing is, he's going to pay for half the damage to your car. And at most, the damage to your car is $1,000. So he's going to pay $500 because all I'm charging them is $500. Do you understand?
Yes.
We're done. Thank you very much. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500.
This court is adjourned.
Goodbye.
I'm happy with the judge's decision. I think that James was equally, if not more, responsible for what happened that day than I was, so I'm glad that she made him at least pay for half of it.
I respect that. I respect her decision.
I should have been better about my anger. I don't need to lose my temper like that.
I mean, as the judge said, I could have murdered him. Those are her words.
I think that I was acting a little bit stupid those 2 days. The next day, I thought about it a lot. Like, I didn't need to do any of this.
I was simply going to work. I don't instigate fights.
People carry guns. A lot of people carry a lot of other illegal things that they can just use on you at any time, so.
My words were, I don't want to fight you, and when I showed him my waistband with the knife, he didn't want to fight anymore either.
Basically, just gotta check my ego.
Just keep doing what I want to do.
This whole thing could have been avoided if 2 young men just checked their egos a little bit. Got way out of hand for literally no reason. No reason. Walking a little too slow to cross the street.
I think that it's a very deep pathology. Those 3 young people is a very sad pathology. Not sure what her issues are, but the 19-year-old looks like butter could melt in his mouth until he opens his mouth. And he's clearly got his grandmother sort of a little bamboozled.
What started off as 2 young employed people who thought it was going well.
It went south fast.
Yeah. Looks like a job won't save everybody, but...
Better be unemployed and a nice person than employed and going down a very negative path.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. Very sad.
Great.
Okay, and you heard a crash in your house.
Shattering, yes.
You went over to wake her up, you were mad, and you broke his window. You'd been fighting with him all day.
I'm guessing so.
The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, right?
She was...
I'm not asking you anything. You don't have to be a genius to connect these dots.
This is Judy Justice. John Morrow is suing the defendant, Joshua Lease, for trespassing and vandalizing his home.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3111, Morrow versus Lease.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Morrow, your girlfriend's name is Skylar.
Correct.
And that would be Skylar.
Correct.
This young woman's name is Brittany. Brittany was a very good friend with Skylar. And this is Brittany's boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I gather was you and your girlfriend on September the 1st had a disagreement.
Something like that.
Do you and Brittany live together?
Yes, we do currently.
On September 1st, were you living together?
No.
When did you move in together?
Not long after the whole incident, probably about a month or so after.
Tell me about the incident that happened that caused Brittany to flee and go to the plaintiff's home.
Sure.
And, Kevin, I would like you to show Brittany to the waiting room outside.
This way, please.
All right, Mr. Lease. Now I'd like you to tell me what happened between you and Brittany on September 1st.
She had gone out drinking with Skylar and Mr. Morrow. I was upset that she went out drinking because we had alternate plans.
Okay, just a minute. Had you been working?
I had worked.
And when you came home, how did you find out that she was out with...
She told me. She said I went out drinking.
How did you communicate? In
phone.
By phone?
Via text.
Just a second.
Back
By
and
text.
forth.
So you came home from work.
Mm-hmm. She said, we're done, we're coming in. It was later on that night. It had to be a couple hours after I took a shower, and said that she was coming over to the house.
To your house?
Because she knew I was upset that she had gone out drinking. She was intoxicated, so I was upset.
Oh, just a second. She said she was intoxicated.
Well, just because of the text message change, you know, you could hear, you know, the drinking, you know, you can kind of tell somebody's getting inebriated.
Why don't you show me the text messages on your phone?
Of our back and forth?
Yes.
I had gotten a new
Everybody
phone.
gets a new phone. Everybody gets a new
it.
phone. You know how long I've had my phone? It still has a button on it.
Still a flip?
Yeah. Find the text messages so that I can see them.
Months.
We have the exact date, September 1st, 2023.
That was of the incident, correct?
Mm-hmm. Kevin, would you have, please, the witness find that communication starting in September?
She would probably have it before I would.
Just a second.
Yep. You have to ask her. Stop that. October 15th.
Skylar, did Brittany communicate with you by text or by phone?
By text.
Okay. While I'm taking the rest of his testimony, would you check your phone, please, to see what the messages are on your phone for September 1st? Would you do that? Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Lees. So you were annoyed because, as far as I believe you testified, you could tell that she was inebriated and getting drunker by her text messages. What prompted her to come to your house?
Because she wanted to see me. She wanted to come over.
She was going to come to your house.
And which she did.
She did? And what time did your girlfriend get to your house?
It was late. It was midnight-ish.
Did she come into your house?
Yes, she came in.
Just a second. Did you let her in, or did she have her own key?
No, she don't have her own key.
So you let her in?
Yes, because she
Now I want you to start from the point when you let her in the house.
I just was upset with her.
I want you to tell me. Upset is a state of mind. I want you to tell me what she said to you and what you said to her.
She wanted to stay the night. She was obviously, you know, trying to sleep over. And I was still upset. She said, fine, I'm going to John's house.
That's all that happened?
And she said, if you want to come over, you're more than welcome over. I'll be sleeping in the front room.
Okay. So you were upset. What did you say when you were upset to her?
I just wanted space. I was irritated at this point, and I worked.
So you said you wanted space?
Yeah.
Now, she was going over to this gentleman's house where her friend was. Is not an answer.
Ma'am.
And she left, and she drove to John's house.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
After she had left, I had left not that far behind her because I was more concerned about her safety. As I sat there, I was like, she shouldn't be driving right now. So as concerned, I left about 10, 15 minutes behind her. And when I got there, I had stopped getting responses. So it was to the point of like, well, what's going on?
Well, this was about midnight. That's what you said. And you
she had left like an hour after. We sat there for a little bit and talked.
Oh, well, you forgot to tell me that.
Yeah.
You sort of forgot to tell me that. You said you wanted space.
I did. I was just over the night and everything. It was a long night at work.
So now we're at 1 o'clock. Because if you said you
My
chatted...
time frames might be off a little bit here.
They better get straight, sir. You've been in court before?
In the past.
In the past.
As a young one.
Okay. So, you know, it's important that you remember, and you've had some time to remember because, according to you, you weren't drunk. You had just come home from work. So you should be clear-headed. So you did chat with her for an hour. Tell her how upset you were, and she wanted to stay, and you're all right, then I'm going to John. It happened in a very civilized fashion. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
She can't take down
I'm sorry.
Okay. And she stopped responding to you. At some point, when you tried to text her, she was in John's house.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Yes.
What happened next?
And then I got irritated that, you know, she stopped responding. I just said, well, screw it. I should go home. I was getting eaten up by mosquitoes. And she did say, come knock on the window if I fall asleep to wake me up if you want me to come back over.
Just a second. When did she say that to you? Before or after you told her that you weren't interested in her staying for the night?
She said, if you change your mind, come knock on the window. I'll be in the front room.
She said that by text?
No, in person, in front of my garage as she was leaving.
Do I look stupid? There's no sign here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you've been texting each other, but that she told you, she said, come and wake me up.
If you change your mind.
By knocking at the window.
Because I didn't want to have sex. I was irritated.
Well, what did you want to have when you went over to his house at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I kind of wanted to apologize for being a
Okay, so this is what the case is about. He broke the window in your house.
Correct.
And you wanted him to pay for the repair of the window.
Correct.
Got it. Simple as that.
Should be.
Now you can bring in Brittany.
Morrow claims the defendant, Joshua Lease, is responsible for breaking his bedroom window. Joshua says he touched the window, but it did not break.
Thanks. Okay, Brittany, you stand next to Mr. Lease. Okay. I have a few questions for you. Mr. Lease tells me that the two of you were not living together on September 1st. Is that right?
Correct.
And that night on September 1st, Mr. Lease was working.
Correct.
What time does he usually get home?
I can't remember the day. It is normally Tuesday, Wednesdays. He does work 14 hours sometimes. On Thursdays, he does work 14 hours also, but I can.
Do you remember? I don't want to hear.
No.
I don't want you to open your mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
That night he was coming home later.
Correct.
And you decided to go out with your friend and her boyfriend.
Correct.
What time did you leave?
Around possibly 6 or 7.
Were you staying at Mr. Lease's house?
At the time, I was actually staying with my roommate. I was over her house. I may have stopped at his house just for a few minutes.
He wasn't home?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So now we're at about 6. You went out for dinner?
Dinner, a few drinks.
And how did you communicate with Mr. Lease that you were out for the evening with your friend and her boyfriend?
I was just letting him know that I was going over to her house and I would be there soon.
And you were communicating with him by text message?
Correct.
You have your text messages for that night?
I tried to scroll back to that night. I couldn't bring up anything because it was so many text messages are in there. I couldn't bring it up. I just kept scrolling.
Okay. So you texted him that you were out for dinner and a few drinks. And what did he say to you in the text?
I can't remember at the time of what.
Was
what
he
we were
happy
saying.
that you were out with John and Skylar?
Well, we had a little disagreement.
Careful. I know everything. Okay. I want you to know that I know everything. Was he happy that you were out with John and Skylar?
No.
What did he text you?
He was sending me messages that to not come back until I was ready to come home the next day. So that's what I did.
You didn't go over to his house?
I did go over to his house after we got done going out. I did, yes.
Yes. You went over to his house?
Correct.
And what time did you get there?
I want to say it was around 12 a.m., 1 a.m.
Okay. And what happened when you got there?
He politely asked me to leave, and I tried telling him, like I wanted to try and work it out with him. And he politely asked me to leave again, and I continued to stay there, trying to, overbear him with everything that was going on.
Like what?
Of us arguing, of me going out with them.
What was wrong with going out with them?
No,
look at me. Brittany, I'm asking you a question. What was wrong with going out with your friend and her boyfriend? What did he say was wrong with you going out?
I was too intoxicated at the time.
Is that what he said to you?
I believe so.
Were you drunk?
I was.
Did you drive to his house?
Before
you
we
drive
went
to
out.
his house at
Yes.
12 o'clock?
Yes.
Drunk?
No, I was not drunk.
Well, just a second. You either were drunk or you weren't drunk. You said he was mad because I was too intoxicated, and you drove there. Were you drunk or were you not drunk? Now you're not drunk.
I was drunk. I was
okay.
So
you
much
drove
drunk.
So you drove drunk.
Correct.
And he told you to leave.
He did.
Politely.
Politely.
Just a second.
Politely at first, yes. Politely.
I just want to tell you who you're dealing with. I'm 80 years old, plus 1. This is not stupid. How did he tell you to leave?
At first, he nicely asked me to leave. And then I kept going on and on, continuing to ask him if I could stay. And it kept making him upset. It made him upset, which is understandable. I get that. And then And then
what?
I told
You're
him
getting red in the chest. Be careful.
I told him that I would just leave and I would go back to their house and stay.
When he got upset, what happened?
When I told him I was leaving?
No, before you wouldn't leave, when he got upset. Do you remember what you texted your friend Skylar?
No, I don't.
Well, Skylar has it on her phone. Kevin, can I see the...
So this is from lunchtime to...
Well, you had been fighting with him all day. You'd been fighting with him all day. That's what you told her.
I'm guessing so. I don't...
What do you mean you're guessing so? That's what you told her. Am I reading this wrong? You weren't fighting with John.
No.
You were fighting with him all day.
I don't remember anything that I had said.
What's your first name?
Mine?
Yours.
Joshua.
Me and Josh have been fighting all night and day. I really don't want to sit around and think about anything. I've had 2 hours sleep, and that's it. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
She tells you you need clothes. I can see if I have anything in this bag, but I doubt I do. I'm crying. I'm trying to calm down before I get there. Does that sound familiar?
I don't remember.
You're literally dumb. You'll let your man hit you, and you won't call the police. That sound familiar?
I don't remember any of the messages.
Stand up, please.
John Morrow has accused the defendant, Joshua Lease, of breaking his bedroom window. Joshua claims John is overcharging him for a window he did not break.
Did you say to your friend Skylar he wants to resolve it, and he was saying he would literally give John money to help fix it? He just wants everything dropped because the police were called, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this is you talking, correct?
Correct.
He was just trying to come wake me up to talk and apologize to me, and didn't think when he knocked on the window it was that hard. He said he truly didn't mean it at all and has repeatedly said he's sorry. Is that what you said to your friend Skylar?
Correct.
All righty. And then the response is, Brittany, he wrapped his hand around a blank shirt to punch the window out. He was just knocking. Are you blank kidding me? Are you guys getting back together? And you respond, he said he didn't wrap it up at all. He just said he just had it in his hand and didn't even use that hand. It was the opposite one. And I don't know. I told him things need to be resolved and things need to get fixed. If Johnny could just drop everything, I would be happy. Josh is going to make everything right. Now, how did you know Josh is going to make everything right? Because you spoke to him.
Correct.
And he told you he was going to make everything right with the window. He just didn't want the police involved anymore. I'm listening.
Correct.
All righty. What's the issue, Josh? You went over to wake her up. You were mad. And you broke his window.
The window wasn't broken when I went there.
So your girlfriend's a liar?
I'm not saying she's a liar. That's what I was pressed. They were like, either you're going to...
No. I'm not talking about the police. I'm talking to you about what you said to your girlfriend. She says you told her you're just going to make it right.
Yeah.
You'll make everything right. You just don't want the police involved.
He was upset. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I was trying to make everyone happy. I'm trying to be a peacemaker here with this.
All right. You were awakened, I don't know, it says 3 o'clock in the morning. Is that the time it was?
It was about 4:51 a.m.
Okay, and you heard a crash in your house?
Shattering, yes.
Okay, and what did you do?
The house. Jumped up out of bed. We were dead asleep. Couldn't tell where it came from, so started searching the rooms to see what happened. Brittany came out of her room. We asked her if her window was okay. She said, yeah. So I'm checking all the other windows throughout the house. Can't find anything. Finally, I go into Brittany's room, and there's glass all over the bed she was sleeping in, because the window was right next to the bed.
Now, you remember that? That sound familiar? Brittany, pay careful attention. I have the phone. Does it sound familiar that there was broken glass in the room where you were sleeping?
Correct.
All right. Perfect. The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, right?
She was.
I'm not asking you anything. The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, was it?
Correct.
You remember Johnny coming down to look to see what the noise was? Yes. You remember Johnny coming down in the early morning to see what had happened?
Yes.
Do you remember him going into your room?
Yes, but that was after, like, we searched the entire house.
He searched with you. And then when he went into your room, where you had been sleeping, I assume, the window that was broken was in your room.
Correct.
All righty. You don't have to be a genius to connect these dots. I have a great-grandchild who's going to be a year old tomorrow. He could connect these dots. How much did it cost to fix the window?
The replacement window was $2,020, $81.20.
You have the...
I do. It was 2 payments in yellow.
$2,081.
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. You better rethink this. I'm telling you, you better rethink it. For your own sake, you better rethink it.
This court is adjourned.
I didn't break the window. And $2,100 for a window in Florida, that's not impact proof. That's insane.
I think the judge was very fair and could see through their lies and their story of what happened that night.
I just a casual knock, and maybe my bracelet hairline fractured it, but I didn't break that window when I left there.
Yeah, well, it was definitely broken. We have pictures and video of it as well.
I'm happy it's behind me. It's outrageous, $2,180 for a window. That's unheard of.
I think instead of running around breaking windows at 4 a.m., he should probably get a second job so he could afford his actions.
It should be bulletproof for that price.
Thank you, Judy Justice.
Thank you. So to all the young ladies out there, there are warning signs. And sometimes the need to nest, which most women have, obscures your good judgment. But if you have to flee somebody once, it should be the only time.
Sure. Even if they get annoyed at you going out for dinner and drinks with your friend and her boyfriend. Or partner, red flag. That's the first one.
That doesn't jive with, I came home from work, 8:30, 9 o'clock. I was tired. I worked 14-hour day. And then you're up 4 o'clock in the morning because you've been texting back and forth, which both people conveniently couldn't find. Interesting that the witness could find it. But she seems like a mild young lady, Brittany.
Shouldn't be with someone who breaks windows by accident.
And who's familiar with courts.
Yeah.
So beware.
Yeah.
They sometimes need to nest shouldn't interfere with your own gut reaction. Somebody.
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree.
I hope she's smart.
Hopefully it works out.
Life. You, sir, you had a big fight because you weren't paying rent.
She got crazy, punched me in the face, and I fell in the chair into the glass. She started picking up the glass and stabbing me with it.
That's not true.
He has pictures, bleeding.
I was trying to grab the chair.
Before or after you stabbed him with the glass?
The chair actually collided with the mirror, and the mirror broke.
I don't believe a word of that.
This is Judy Justice. DeAndre Benton is suing his former roommate, Chauncey Rayford, for personal belongings, lost wages, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3119, Benton versus Rayford.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Benton, it is your claim that the defendant who rented a room in her home to you
Yes, ma'am.
assaulted you, disposed of your property,
Correct.
and because of all the turmoil, you missed time at work.
Yes, ma'am.
You want $7,500.
Yes.
That's what you're asking for. Defendant says that you assaulted her. She had lost wages. She had pain and suffering as a result of this assault, which I assume took place on the same day.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. How did you find the room in Miss Rayford's home?
It was on a roommate app. like Roomster, to be exact.
On what date did you find the ad?
June 15th.
And where was it located?
Atlanta, Georgia, 30311.
So that was in June. And you looked at the room?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the rent?
It was negotiated to be $750.
$750 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing then?
I was working fast food at the moment.
When did you move in?
July 15th.
July 15th.
15th, yes, ma'am.
And how much rent did you pay for the month of July?
This full amount, $750. I paid $250 to hold the room and $509 for the remaining balance.
In the month of August, tell me what rent you paid her and when.
I did give her.
Look at me. Be very careful with me. I want you to be very careful with me. How much rent did you give her in the month of August?
I didn't give her anything.
How much rent did you give her in September?
She wasn't there.
How much rent did you pay anyone in September?
I paid her a portion of the rent.
What do you mean a portion of the rent? It was my understanding that you owned this home.
Yes,
No,
Your
she
Honor,
didn't
that
own
is
the
correct.
home.
Just a second.
She didn't own the home. To my knowledge, she wasn't even supposed to be renting out the home to have rooms.
Just a second. I'm just asking you, you're now living in somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
And you agreed to pay $750 a month rent.
Mm-hmm.
Is a yes.
Yes.
And you paid no rent
Well, that
for
was
the month of August.
That was because when I did come into the home on the 31st, I moved in on the 15th like I communicated to you. On the 30th, my belongings was outside the home. I had to sleep outside like an animal.
Okay. What about in September? You were still in the home in September.
Yeah, I was still in the home in September
She
going
was
through the
still
same
in?
issue.
Just a second. You were still, you're not going to talk over me. You were still in the home in September.
Mm-hmm.
Not That's a yes.
Yes.
You were still in the home in September. And how much rent did you pay in September?
I paid her $500 in
Just a second. In September, you paid her $500.
Yes.
Okay. October.
Nothing was paid.
After that, you paid no rent.
No.
Okay. Where are you living now?
I live with a friend now.
That's a lie. That's a lie. We just checked.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I used
Well, just
to
a second.
before I moved.
Just a second. Stupid is not here, sir.
Pretty aware.
Stupid is not here. So now you're a squatter in a place where you're paying no rent and you live with him?
No, ma'am. I have my own place.
Oh, good. Because he doesn't live with you. He's living in a place where he doesn't pay rent. He moved in and stopped paying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not finished with you either. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Very good. So if you understand, you weren't living outside like an animal, and you've been living for August, September, October, November, December, January and February, 7 months in a place in which you pay no rent.
Well, can I ask a question? How am I supposed to pay rent when I had several eviction notices and she wasn't there to show up?
Then leave. Then leave.
I mean,
you're a
you saying
squatter.
leave, but
You are a squatter.
she told me I didn't
You're
have
a
to.
squatter. Well, if she told you that you don't have to, then the two of you are in collusion here.
I'm not talking about that, ma'am.
Who told you you didn't have to pay?
The judge, because I didn't say the judge didn't say I had to pay. The judge said I did not have to leave, that she didn't find a reason to eviction of me because she didn't show up and provide her evidence.
I'm just telling you, you're a squatter. You don't pay rent. Everybody else here pays a mortgage, pays a maintenance. You moved in and you became a squatter. And I don't care what some other nitwit said to you, you're a squatter. So you get zero for the rent, for your property. I'll get to the assault in a minute. I read your answer. When did you purchase the house?
June 3rd,
June of what?
2021.
What was your mortgage?
The first year, from June when I moved in 2021, it was $1,575 a month.
For the mortgage?
Correct. June of 2022, it increased by $40 and went to $1,615.
In what month did you stop paying the mortgage?
September of 2023.
Why?
DeAndre Benton claims his former roommate, Chauncey Rayford, threw away his property and assaulted him. Chauncey is countersuing for property damage and says she was the one assaulted.
Now, in what month did you stop paying the mortgage?
Well, to be completely honest with you,
Yeah, I don't want you to be dishonest with me. You have to be honest with me because I know everything.
Yes, ma'am. I got laid off. I was okay, just living off of savings for a few months. Things got hard.
Just a second, you got laid off from what job, where?
Carvana, and this was November of 2022.
All right, so you've already been laid off for a year, and you're telling me you paid your mortgage until September?
Yes, ma'am. I was doing anything I could from an app called InstaWork.
Okay, so then you stopped paying your mortgage in September?
Yes.
And when did they foreclose on your house?
October 23rd was the date that I was told that myself and DeAndre needed to be out of the
And I just asked you a question. They foreclosed on the house in October?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I had to move back with my mother in the state of Missouri. I lost everything. My job, the home, my dog.
Okay, so now the bank owns the house?
Yes, correct.
And he's been squatting
still
in the
there.
house since October?
Yes, he will not leave.
Get out of here. Now, I've listened to what you just said just about the ownership of the house and when she turned it back to the bank. You said in your brief questioning before that she didn't own the house. She was a renter.
You know, I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, and she knew that. I wasn't even aware of that.
Well, just a second. If she owns the house, you can be there.
She doesn't own the house.
She doesn't own it anymore.
She never did.
Well, show me proof of that. Okay, that I'd like to see. Were you renting with an option to buy?
Yes, ma'am, with the option.
Ah, I got it now. He's absolutely right. You were not the owner of the house. You were a renter, and you had an option to buy.
Correct. And I was going to do so.
Like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. You two people actually deserve each other. Because what you suggest in your papers is that you ran into hard times and you let the bank take the house. Well, you didn't let the bank do anything because you didn't own the house. You were a renter and you stopped paying rent. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Right. So, as far as I'm concerned, you both deserve each other. I don't know who you're not paying rent to. Somebody owns this house. And they've been probably trying to get you out of the house for a very, very long time.
The person that owned the home came to the home and said she was already far behind before I even moved in. That's the whole reason why I can't.
Who cares? What are you doing in a place where you're not paying rent? You're not supposed to be there. You're a squatter.
Do I look like a squatter?
You are one. You live in a place that's not yours. You're not paying rent. You're a squatter.
Yeah, for people that don't try to pay rent. At least I was trying to pay the rent.
Listen, I try to make a baby every once in a while, but I'm 81 years old. It doesn't happen. All right, I want to hear something about this assault that happened when you were both living in this place that belonged to somebody else, and neither one of you was paying rent.
She was paying.
Who are you?
I'm her witness.
Were you there when this assault
Yes,
took place?
I was.
Okay, then I'll hear you after I hear them. Now, what is the date of this alleged
October
assault?
10th.
October 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were still living there, not paying rent as of September and October. She was still living there.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
So I came outside out of my room. She was already being aggressive about the non-paying rent. And I've already been trying to be communicative with her.
Not
I
true.
said, hey.
I don't want to hear you.
I'm not speaking, Your Honor.
Who is?
Me. I'm sorry.
Out.
Okay.
Then you're done. That way. Out.
Lord.
Go ahead.
Basically,
Now, I don't want to hear basically. I want to hear, to the best of your recollection, on October 10th, 2023, you were both in the house. You were in your room.
She got crazy. Basically, long story short, she got crazy. I tried to come inside the house and sit in a chair. The lady pulled the chair from me. I have the pictures and everything of it. Pulled the chair from me.
Which lady?
This one right here.
Pulled the chair out from under you, tried to sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
And?
Pulled the chair out from me, punched me in the face, and I fell in the chair into the glass. She started picking up the glass and stabbing me with it.
And?
And I had to call the ambulance. The police came. It took 45 minutes.
May I see the police report, please? Did you ever speak to the police, Miss Rayford?
That day?
That day?
No, ma'am. I ended up leaving because...
Okay, just a second. Don't tell me because. The police have memorialized what they saw on the 10th, and they saw him with multiple wounds on his body. Some were bandaged and some not. You were not in the house. This person, I assume, is your girlfriend.
Correct.
Okay. So the two of you were in the house. After this incident took place, whatever the incident was, the two of you left.
That's correct.
He called the police.
I'm not sure what he
Well,
did.
you didn't call the police.
No, I did not.
No. Now, so from you, I would like to see... When you left the house, ran out of the house with your girlfriend, I assume you went right to an emergency room or something as a result of the lacerations that you say you sustained as a result of this fight. So I'd like to see those records.
I did not go to seek emergency treatment because I didn't have any insurance. I just bandaged it up myself.
Well, where did you run to?
To go and get bandage.
And when did you come back to the house?
I did not. That was my last day.
So that was your last day. Okay.
That's a lie.
So now...
She did.
I would
come back
only
to the
return
house.
when he was not there to collect my things.
So you did... Just a second. So you did go back. I have a feeling I was right.
He would not be there when I would return. I have text messages of me asking my neighbor to let me know when he's not there as well. I have photos.
I'm going to look at both your photos, and then you're going to tell me your version of what happened.
Yes.
Because there's no question that he was injured, because the police memorialized that. I assume he has photographs as well. Now, I want you to tell me your version of what happened.
I was working from home. He was already up that morning, and he was the one being loud. He was sitting at my workstation, and I kept asking him politely to move so that I could go ahead and start working. He refused to move. He told me he had a right to sit wherever he wanted to in the home. Now, mind you, he's never...
Just a second. Did you pull the chair out from under him?
DeAndre Benton has accused his former roommate, Chauncey Rayford, of throwing away his belongings and assaulting him. Chauncey is countersuing, claiming DeAndre damaged property and assaulted her.
Okay. Did you pull the chair out from under him?
No, he was not sitting at it at that time. I was trying to move myself. He had walked outside the front door, and as he did that, I was trying to grab the chair, and he ran towards it and sat in it. And that's when the chair actually collided with the mirror, and the mirror broke at that point.
And then?
And then he proceeded to pick up pieces of glass, and I have the photos of my injury right here.
That's a lie.
I don't want to hear you.
He also damaged my work equipment. I had just started that job July 17th. Lost my job on Friday, October 13th, because he damaged my computer. I have a police report that I filed because...
I'd like to see it.
When I did return to the home, after, stitching myself up.
You didn't stitch yourself up.
I did go and get bandages.
You didn't stitch yourself up.
Well, okay. The wrong verbiage.
Yeah.
This is what I submitted
Just
online.
a second. I asked you for your police report.
Yes.
Period.
Okay.
Show it to me.
It's right here. This is what I have filed online. After communicating with my job, they told me in order for them to...
This is on the 12th. You said this happened on the 9th.
It did happen on the 9th, Your Honor. And what I did was I was in communication with my employer to see what they felt was best because...
What does she do for a living?
She was a shift manager.
She still work?
Yes, she works.
Well, why wasn't she paying rent?
We don't live together. She had her own place.
Interesting. Okay, you wanted to say something to me?
Yes, that's actually a lie. As far as me assaulting her, I never once touched this lady. I never once disrespected her. I never once raised a hand at her or tried to, physically harm her. She was very aggressive, very disrespectful.
That's not true.
Okay, can I see photographs, please? Can I see her photographs, please?
Marvius was also injured. That's my arm and her toe.
These are the injuries that you're showing me?
The toe photo is Marvius, my partner, and the arm, that's me.
Don't buy the photos, madam.
I have the scar right here.
Yeah, and don't buy that photo. This photo was a result of this date.
No, it all happened the same day that we're referring to.
Why are you showing me a picture of her toe?
Because when the glass broke and it was flying, somehow her toe got cut.
That's not true.
That is what happened.
Just a second. What other evidence do you have to show me with regard to this injury that took place on that date?
That was mainly what I took The police told me to take pictures of it because they already had her on file from a previous incident of putting her hands on me.
If she put her hands on you before, why didn't you
Not
move?
making any sense.
Shh. There's an indication here that there was listen to me.
True, but
If she
that's
put
the only,
her...
that's the only place that I could afford at the moment.
But you weren't paying anything. You weren't working. You weren't doing nothing.
I'm done. You're finished. You have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You, sir, you had a big fight with her because you moved in and you weren't paying rent. You hadn't paid rent since July. So if she's annoyed with you, there's absolutely no basis for her to put her hands on anybody. But you got into a scuffle that day. Did you damage her computer?
No, sir, I didn't.
I believe that you didn't damage her computer.
I didn't.
Shh, listen to me. I believe that the computer may have gotten damaged during the course of this fight where you and your girlfriend were there, right? Just a sec. You and your girlfriend were there. See, I have a big problem with you because I know that he's a squatter. But you led me to believe that you had to give this house back to the bank as a result of his not paying rent. That's what you led me to believe in your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And that was not true. When somebody tells me something that's not true, I find their testimony always a little suspect. Do you understand? He was injured. There's no question he was injured with shards of glass. Police saw the injury, and he has pictures bleeding on that date. That's a result of what happened that you did to him. And you may have been angry. Was your friend angry as well? Because you both ran off.
This is what happened, okay?
Sure, I'd like to hear you try to tell me what happened.
The laptop was not damaged due to the scuffle. He was already banging on it, and then he poured Pepsi on it. I had to...
Did he pour Pepsi on the computer before or after you stabbed him with the glass?
No, this is before.
I don't believe a word of that.
Ma'am, this is the truth. I literally walked outside so that I could get some help.
Yeah.
I had to call my girlfriend, and at that time,
you don't call your girlfriend, you call the police.
Every time that the police have been called, they have not helped me.
Your girlfriend's not going to help you. You're trying to talk over me. Your girlfriend's not going to help you.
I had no family in Atlanta.
On the day of the incident, the police were wondering, like, where was she so they can get...
Don't tell me what the police were wondering, sir. You haven't paid rent in a place for 7 months. Are you still working fast food?
Yeah, I'm working now.
Did you tell me initially when I asked you a question, and we can have Whitney read it back, when I asked you where you were living, you said you were living with a friend.
Yeah, because I
Just a second. You were living with a friend, but that's not true because when we tried to contact you, the contract address that you gave us was, that's how I knew you lived there and that you aren't telling me the truth. Do you understand?
Yeah, I said I recently moved from the...
No, you didn't say that.
I recently have moved from that location, from that home.
Goodbye. Your case is dismissed. So's yours. Goodbye. You deserve each other.
This court is adjourned.
I wasn't squatting.
He only paid to move in, and I didn't get anything after that month of July.
Well, how am I supposed to pay rent if I was told I could be there?
Because that's what Gen Z babies do.
Squatters tend to have more rights than the landlords, it seems, these days. I mean, he moved in, he paid one payment to move in and hold the spot, and never paid again after that. And like you said, has been there for 7 months. She was not honest about, you know, in the papers it was a little bit unclear, or actually it was very clear, just inaccurate, that the reason that she had to leave this place was solely due to him not paying rent. She made it seem like she had to give it over to the bank due to some lack of payment.
Because she lost her job and...
Exactly. So a lot about the lost job, a lot about all of this. But, I mean, I just wonder who's paying utilities on the house now. He's been living there for 7 months. It's owned by the bank now, I believe.
I think it's owned by the bank.
And I don't think they're paying for his water and heating. So I wonder
somebody's
what's going
paying
on.
for them.
Someone.
He was in need of a loan.
Yes.
I was telling her, you know, you gave me this as a gift.
Can I play a voicemail, please?
Absolutely.
And I don't owe you a goddamn dime, you stink ass mother.
Aren't you embarrassed?
Not really.
You have a nasty potty mouth.
This is Judy Justice. Bonita Roberts is suing her former friend, Kevin Burt, for a loan, harassment, and personal threats.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3113, Robert versus Burt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Roberts, you and Mr. Burt became friends because you were living in the same community.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, the defendant at some point told you that he was in need of a loan.
Yes.
And you made that loan to him. And what was the amount of that loan?
It was $190.
And he paid you back?
No.
Well, according to your complaint, you had, in fact, loaned him money in the past, and he had paid you back.
Yes, he did.
Okay, and that was $2,000.
Yep, $2,000 one time, $300 another.
And then there came a time in December of last year when Mr. Burt again said that his account was a little overdrawn.
Yes.
And he asked you if you could loan him that money.
Yes, and he would pay me back the following day.
And you did?
Yes, I sent him $190 through Zelle.
And you, as a matter of fact, acknowledged that she did, in fact, give you $190.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that $190 you have not given back to her.
No, Your Honor.
So now I don't know what you guys are drinking, but now you're each suing each other for $10,000. You want money owed for repayment of the loan, that's $190. And the rest for harassment and threats of bodily harm.
And defamation of character.
No, that's not in here. That's in your fantasy world. So let's start with this, Mr. Burt. She gave you $190.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why didn't you give it back to her?
Because it was a gift.
Did you ever give her a gift that was worth $190?
Yes, Your Honor.
Like what?
I'd take her to dinner at the steakhouse. I would buy the dinners. It would be well over $300.
How many times did you do that?
We went to the steakhouse a couple of times.
Okay. Tell me about the phone call that you made to her indicating your account was overdrawn.
Yeah, I called her up. I was trying to get a payday loan. I called her from the payday lender place and told her I needed $190.
And what did she say to you?
She said, okay, I'll send it to you by Zelle.
Okay. Did she tell you when she needed it back?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Now, at some point, she started to ask you for this money, this $190. When was that?
I think it was sometime around Christmas, I believe.
And what did you tell her?
I didn't really tell her anything. I was just kind of like ignoring her, you know, because I'm
well,
like...
she was asking you, when can I have my $190 back, and you were ignoring her.
Yeah, I'm like, this was a gift. I was telling her, you know, you gave me this as a gift.
Okay. Well, a gift is something that you usually buy or give to somebody without being asked. You actually called her and asked her for the money.
Correct.
You know, that would be like Sarah saying to me, I want this particular bag and I don't have money for it right now. Can you send it to me? And I send her the money, and then she's, well, that was a gift because you sent it. I mean, she's done that, but not exactly. Okay, so we have $190. Now, I want you to get from $190, Miss Roberts, to $10,000, and I want you to get there in 3 minutes or less.
Can I play a voicemail, please?
Absolutely, and this is going to be a $9,810
$10, yes.
voicemail.
This is the first voicemail.
Hey, I got your phone call. Don't call me before 12 o'clock in the afternoon anymore, bitch. Like you, I don't work. I'm fully retired. And furthermore, you were calling me about your mother $200. Well, I just wanted to let you know you got your $200 worth on Christmas Day when you hurt my dog and you hurt me. I'm not giving you a dime. So you can kiss my ass, get the out of my life. The way you treated me on Christmas, the way you tried to humiliate me, the only thing you did was you lost your $200 and you lost a friend. I trusted you. And all of a sudden, you went rogue, psycho, mother bitch on me.
Okay. I already told you, you have your $190 and he has a bad potty mouth.
Okay.
So after you got that message from him and he told you, you're out of my life, whatever it was, you had some sort of a bad Christmas, don't call me anymore, I don't want to know from you anymore, you did something, you humiliated me, you hurt my dog, leave me alone, get out of my life. What did you do?
I didn't do anything because I kept getting voicemail.
Just a second. So you didn't contact him again?
I sent an email saying how hurt I was,
just
but
a second.
I didn't call him, no.
Well, do you have the email?
Yeah, I do.
I'd like to see it. So you sent him an email after you got this message. May I see? You have it written?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Okay. This is a very nice email, Mr. Burt. So far, it's a very nice email. I'm going to read it out loud. It said, just so you can hear how ridiculous you get when you're inebriated. I really pray that you get some help. This has to stop. I have only been a good person to and for you, and you turn around and say these nasty things to me because you don't want to pay me back. I've always been there for you whenever you were in need, loaning you money when you need it. For you to make up a bunch of lies, it truly breaks my heart. And I feel so sorry for you, but I will pray that God helps you get a peaceful, calm space where you don't require liquid courage and possibly keep one good person around you. And she doesn't say anything nasty to you in this email, sir. It says, I will see you in court because I'm not going to allow you to steal money from me. I really thought we were friends. Bonnie, lovely, lovely email. If I got that message from you, sir, I would not have sent you this, except she probably knows that you're a drunk and that she felt sorry for you. On Christmas Day, did you go out and buy yourself a little pint of vodka?
Yes, I did.
And bring it, but shut.
Sorry.
Does it look like I need help from you?
You don't.
Oh, okay, good.
Bonita Roberts claims her former friend, Kevin Burt, refuses to pay back a loan and harassed her. Kevin is countersuing Bonita for filing a false restraining order and emotional distress.
So what you did was nasty. What you did was nasty. Now, it may have clouded your judgment that you did have liquid courage. I don't know what you needed courage from. She wasn't doing anything bad to you. Okay, so far, that's not worth a nickel. That. It's just a bad potty mouth. You knew he was drunk. He said, I feel sorry for you, but I'm going to take you to court. You already won your $190.
Okay.
Okay? We're getting to $10,000. Now, you say that he threatened you.
He did.
And it's on a voicemail.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to hear the threatening one so far.
Okay.
It's
Well,
just
I'll play
potty
this.
mouth.
First of all, can I just, a little backstory. I had knee surgery. He threatened to harm my knees.
Okay, I'm
When
listening.
I asked for the money back. And this is what really bothered me.
I just got the notice from Wells Fargo of you begging for $190. I'm going to call Wells Fargo and I'm going to let them know that I don't owe you a dime, you broke-ass bitch. And you better keep your communication with me either by phone or by email. Because if you ever show up at my house, God help you. I'm going straight for the knees.
Okay, got it. Aren't you embarrassed?
No, Your Honor, Miss Roberts started needling me about not being around her, ignoring her calls after I got the loan, which I didn't. I was actually in the hospital after I suffered 3 incidents of cardiac arrest on July the 22nd.
Listen to me.
He's lying.
Shh. You should be embarrassed by those phone messages that you left her while you were drunk. And if you tell me you weren't drunk, that's twice as bad. You understand? That's not the kind of communication that a grown-up adult has with another grown-up adult, especially when you get this kind of an email in response.
Well, in that
now,
email,
just a second.
in that email, she stated that I could barely take care of myself.
Well, clearly you can't. If she said it, it's true.
No, it's not true.
Yes, it's
Very
true.
true.
Well,
Mr. Burke,
It's very
Mr.
true.
Shh. Okay, so they're nasty messages. She knows that when you left those messages, you were drunk. You know that, correct?
Yes, I do.
And you know that he said, don't ever come to his house, because if you come to his house, he's going right for the knees.
And I was very vulnerable because I had just had surgery.
I get it. You weren't going to his house either.
I wasn't.
Okay. But at some point, you filed for a protective order against
did.
him. And that's his counterclaim for $10,000,
Right.
that you filed for a protective order against him, and that was ultimately dismissed.
Yes.
As I would dismiss it if I were hearing this application for a protective order. In any event, I don't like the messages that you sent to her, so your counterclaim's dismissed. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you can't hold your liquor, don't drink. If you're retired and you sleep until noon because you're drunk every day, that's not a smart thing for you. And if you've been in the hospital because of cardiac arrest, it's twice as not smart for you, right?
Right.
Yeah, right, unless you can't stop. If you can't stop, check into Betty Ford. Judgment for the plaintiff, and I'm awarding you $500 because I wouldn't like to listen to those messages either. $190 for what he owes you, and the rest is because you have a nasty potty mouth. We're done here. Thank you.
Well, she
Court is adjourned.
should have stopped calling me. She sees me buying a bottle of vodka, and she gets an attitude like, you owe me $190, but you gonna buy vodka?
I'm happy. I got what I wanted. I just wanted my money back.
I think she was taking advantage of me because of my medical condition.
Of what? What would I take advantage of from him? He has nothing.
I had told her before I made those messages to leave me alone, but she continued to call me.
Nothing. He's a thing of the past for me.
Just find it so ironic that in all of those potty-mouthed messages where he's calling her a broke-ass bitch, he couldn't afford the $190 overdraft fee on his own account. So it's just,
That's funny. She was a nice lady.
She was, and I think she expected him to pay her back, and he's just a drunk
he's
who
just
had
an
no
old drunk.
intention of paying her back.
Case number 3096, Corcoran versus Curry. All parties, please step forward.
Christopher Corcoran is suing his former employee, Joshua Curry, for unpaid legal fees.
Mr. Corcoran, the case is relatively simple and straightforward. It is your claim that the defendant owes you for legal fees that you paid on his behalf.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Curry says that there was never an agreement to pay you anything, and you paid legal fees for him for a criminal matter because he was such a valued employee that without him, your business couldn't function.
That's very true, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's relatively easy. How long did you work for Mr. Corcoran, Mr. Curry? From when to when?
August of 2020 until September of 2023.
And how much did you earn?
200 to 300, depending on how long it was.
So you want to tell me when you got into some legal trouble?
It was July 5th morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning. I had heard some news from one of my friends passing away from a motorcycle wreck, and I was a little emotional, went on a motorcycle ride myself, and the police tried to pull me over, which I made a bad decision and didn't pull over.
Well, let's go back a second. I just want to make sure I'm hearing it right. You got some very bad news that a friend of yours had been killed in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And you were very upset about it.
Well, emotional, yes.
You were upset about it, hadn't been drinking.
Nope.
No drugs.
Nope.
So at 4 o'clock in the morning, you decided to go on a motorcycle ride.
Yep.
Where did you take your motorcycle for a ride?
I was just going for a ride through Marymount.
And is that a big town or a little town?
It's a small little town outside Cincinnati.
And the police must see you because you're going to tell me what happened when the police tried to pull you over.
Well, there was like a medium from one direction to the other from the way the cop was coming. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything illegal. They busted you. He came up behind me and was trying to pull me over for what I thought for no reason.
So the police were trying to pull you over while you were riding your motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Emotions got the best of me. I flipped the bird and just took off.
Okay.
Christopher Corcoran claims his former employee, Joshua Curry, owes for attorney fees he loaned to Joshua.
So you made a middle finger gesture
Yes, ma'am.
and took off on your motorcycle.
That's right.
How fast did you take off?
I probably hit 100 miles an hour at some point.
So now you're driving 100 miles an hour through this small town in Ohio. Police try to pull you over. High-speed chase. They finally got you to pull over.
Yes, ma'am.
And they arrested you.
Well, they impounded my bike, and they actually took me home once they realized that I didn't do anything wrong.
Don't tell me what they realized. You can't tell me what they realized. They impounded your bike.
Yes, and they drove me home and gave me failure to comply.
So they gave you a ticket.
Well, it's a ticket, which was a misdemeanor ticket, yes.
Were you originally charged with a misdemeanor or with a felony?
I think it was a misdemeanor. It was a misdemeanor.
Let me see what you're looking at. Okay, so at some point, you got in touch with your boss.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me when that was.
Probably later on that evening, that day. And I told him I was in trouble. Yeah.
And at that point, did you ask him to do anything for you?
Not at that point, no.
At what point?
I don't really remember. It was just more or less like, we're going to handle this. You know, we'll make sure everything's okay kind of conversations.
Okay. Now I'm going to come to you, Mr. Cochran. First of all, you have a business that is what?
It's a commercial construction. We had set up pallet racking and warehouse.
When did you start the business?
2008.
Is the business still ongoing?
Yes.
And it's still ongoing, so you've managed to keep your business even after this valued employee is gone.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I have to tell you something, Mr. Curry. The only time that you become indispensable is when the show has your name on it. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Other than that, everybody can be replaced. I say that because your defense is, because what Mr. Cochran did is he contacted a lawyer on your behalf, and that's the money he wants. And your position was you never asked him for it, you just did it. Okay, so you tell me about the conversation that you had with Mr. Cochran when he called the next day.
He called me and told me that pretty much verbatim.
Exactly what he told me.
He went to court. He called me after court. He said, I don't know what to do. He said, they told me to come back with an attorney.
So now he's going back and he said to you, this is bad. I have to go back to court. They told me to come back with a lawyer. Did you tell him that?
Well, yeah.
And you said to him?
I said, let me make a phone call. I'll get in touch with my attorney. He'll call you, get your side of it, and we'll go from there.
So you called your lawyer.
So I called my attorney. He called Mr. Curry. They spoke. He called me back. He says, Chris, this is bad. This is bad. He said he's going to do some time on this.
And then?
He said, he said he doesn't have any money, and he told me $6,000. So I told Mr. Curry, and he says, well, I don't have that. I said, well, I'll take it out of your check, and on we went.
Is that what he said to you?
Well, that's not really how I remember the conversation. But, I mean, it was a couple years ago.
I would like you to tell me how, Mr. Curry, you remember the conversation.
Well, I just remember him saying that, I have a friend that's a lawyer. We'll take care of this. We'll get it handled.
Well, Mr. Curry, what I'm asking you is, you're not related to him. You're not his brother. You're not his cousin. You're not his son-in-law. You're an employee. If you knew about the amount of money, $6,000, why in the world would you think that he was just going to cover that for you?
I mean, he brought it up to me after the fact that it was paid. Like, I didn't have a chance to say yes or no to $6,000.
Well, you knew the lawyer wasn't working for nothing.
Well, I completely understand that. But I also thought the way that he would approach me was like, we're going to take care of this.
Okay. May I see the invoice from the attorney and a copy of your check? You have a copy of your check?
No, I paid cash.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, well,
Your Honor.
This doesn't do it for me, sir. Show me where you took $6,000 from.
Out of my safe. I mean, I keep a lot of cash on hand at the house.
Well, I'm not believing you, sir. I'm going to tell you I'm not believing you. Because there's no reason why you would pay a lawyer in cash. For somebody else, when the somebody else is expected to pay you back, so you have absolutely no proof that you paid anybody. You loaned somebody money to pay a lawyer. You pay that lawyer by check, and you have proof of it. There's a possibility that you did lay out some money for him, for a lawyer. I don't believe it was $6,000 because this is not a lawyer's invoice.
I can get him on the phone.
Oh, no, I'm absolutely positive that you can get somebody on the phone, sir. Unless I have proof that the amount of money that you laid out for Mr. Curry, I'm dismissing your case without prejudice. You go and plead it to somebody else. I don't buy it. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
If you're making a loan to somebody, especially in a case like this where there was no family relation, no, like you said, no particular reason why the plaintiff would just out of the kindness of his heart step up and pay this bill, I would want a paper trail or 2 or 3 to ensure that they could not go back on their word to repay you for the loan that you so nicely laid out for them. And I found it almost as odd as you that he paid cash and didn't even have anything as far as a handwritten note that said, I paid this to the lawyer on this day, signed by someone. It doesn't even have to be official, but just pulling $6,000 out of your safe in cash, it's less than what we needed for his loan.
You know, what's interesting, Sarah, is I actually think he got a lawyer to go in with him on what was a ticket.
Yeah.
But certainly no lawyer would say, oh, that's very serious. He's looking at serious jail. That's baloney, unless there was another charge there. But I don't see why a lawyer would demand $6,000 in cash. It doesn't make sense to me.
And if it doesn't make sense,
it's not true. It is your claim that the property was a mess.
Yes. I don't think it needed to be cleaned. It had been cleaned.
There was dirt on the floor. There was bugs on the floor. There's black mold.
I paid to have it cleaned.
The refrigerator is disgusting. The stove is disgusting. It's disgusting.
It was clean.
I'm telling you that the place was disgusting.
This is Judy Justice. Adriana Alonzio and Tanner Krugel are suing their former landlord, Faith Schmidt, for a security deposit and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3121, Alonzio Krugel versus Schmidt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell me your last name.
Krugel.
This is your...
Fiance.
The two of you were moving from one state to another.
Correct.
You were moving with what other family members?
Our 4 children.
And you were moving from what state to what state?
Wisconsin to Minnesota.
Whose mother lives in Minnesota?
Mine does.
That's your mom?
Yes.
So you needed a place to live?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Your mother found a place, or did you?
I found the place initially.
You found the place?
Yes.
And your mother went to do a walkthrough to see if it was suitable for you and your 4 children?
Correct.
And found the defendant's, is it a home?
It's a single-family home.
That you own. When did you purchase it?
I believe I purchased it a month before I showed it to them, so no one had lived in it yet.
And when your mom looked at the place, it needed a good cleanup. And you acknowledged that, Ms. Schmidt, that it needed a good cleanup.
I do not.
Well, you sort of do in your answer, so that I want you to rethink what you just said to me. When you showed it to Mr. Krugel's mother, it needed a cleanup. You have to remember what you wrote in your answer. So if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
I don't think it needed to be cleaned. It had been cleaned.
I have it in your answer, but I'll get to it in a minute. So you loaded your kids. I assume you took a U-Haul or something of the like, and you agreed to rent the property.
Yes.
And you sent a month's security and a month's rent?
Yes.
In total, how much money did you send?
$3,000.
Which you received and deposited.
Correct.
What date did you send the money?
October 30th. I have the receipts for that as well.
Yeah, she acknowledges she took it. Now, up until that time, you had not signed a lease.
Correct.
And you acknowledge that. They had not signed a lease. When you got there, it is your claim that the property was a mess.
Yes.
And you actually did not move into the property and want your security and your rent back.
Correct.
That's what the case is about. And I'm not exactly sure of what your defense is, but you'll tell me. Is your defense that they had no lease, or that they had a lease that they broke? What is your defense?
So we had an entire interaction. They actually did move into the property. They moved their belongings into the property.
Did you change the locks on the doors?
I did not.
At any time?
No. They're still the same locks that they were before.
You arrived on the property on what date?
November 13th.
Still no lease?
Correct. She mailed us the lease, and then we didn't have enough time to sign it and mail it back to her. And so we have in text message, she's saying we can just bring it with us, but we didn't want to sign it, so we...
Got it. So you got there on the 13th. I'd like you to describe what it looked like on the 13th.
Well, it was dark, so it was really hard to see anything. when we pulled up, the guys pulled the horse trailer in the back. So the guys were unloading that while Linda, myself, and my brother and the children started walking through the home, seeing where we were going to put everything. And that's when we started noticing, you know, it was just disgusting.
Well, tell me.
There's dirt on the floor. There was bugs on the floor. There's black mold. There was water damage in the walls that she said.
Did you take any photographs?
I have a lot of photographs.
May I see them, please?
Yes.
And this was the day you were moving in your things?
Correct.
Or the next day?
The day we were starting to move in. And then once we started to notice...
Just a second. Some of these I'll ask you to address, some I won't. There's a lot of water damage. Kevin, would you show these photographs to Ms. Schmidt, please? I'll take them back now. Ms. Schmidt, from whom did you purchase this house?
Edina Realty.
Was it a person or was the house foreclosed?
It was a person.
And how much did you pay for it?
I don't recall the exact price.
Give me a ballpark figure.
I would prefer not to disclose.
I don't care what you prefer. Give me a figure.
Around $100,000.
What do you mean around $100,000? What kind of work do you do?
I am a landlord. I'm a business owner. I have rental properties.
Okay, so that's what you do as a living?
Yes, that is a recent business that I've started.
Great. If it's a recent business, how many homes do you have?
I have 4.
Is this the last one that you purchased?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it?
I believe it was 100,000 something. It was between 100,000 and 110,000.
Yes.
I have a picture from the Zillow ad that tells the date that she purchased the home and how much she purchased it for. I also have a text message of her acknowledging the fact that her dad and the kids that cleaned the house said it was not clean enough
Just a
the day before.
I'm not there yet.
Okay, sorry.
Well, the estimate for the house is $94,000. It's sold for $94,000. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. Now, in your answer to their request, which is their request for return of their deposit, although they're asking for a lot of other stuff, but it's for the return of their deposit, you say, since I had not even received the signed lease back yet, they were trespassing. That's what you wrote in your answer.
So
I had the unit cleaned that same day. The next night on November 13th, I met them as well as the other adults. Who cleaned the unit the same day on the 13th?
So I paid one of my employees to clean the unit prior. I reached out after Linda entered the property.
No. Pay careful attention to my question.
I'm giving you a backstory.
I don't want a backstory.
Adriana Alonzio and Tanner Krugel claim their former landlord, Faith Schmidt, refuses to return their security deposits. Faith is countersuing for loss of income and harassment.
Now, you said the house was clean. Clearly, this is not a recently cleaned house.
I paid to have it cleaned, and then because Linda had complained,
you would acknowledge that these pictures that I showed you. Just a second, you don't talk over me. You do acknowledge that this house, as the photographs indicate, because they were only there for a day, the dead bugs, the black mold do not indicate a recently cleaned property.
Yes, ma'am. May I tell you more?
First, I'm asking you a question. You looked at the photographs, and you have to acknowledge that these photographs do not reflect a recently clean property ready for people to move into.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when they got there, the place was not clean. When they arrived there with their 4 children, the place...
It was clean. These pictures were not taken by them. They were taken by Linda. Linda entered the premises before they were even there. She was not supposed to be there.
Just a second.
On the 12th. They did not arrive until the 13th. Linda took these photos. Linda reached out to me. Linda said the property was not clean. I have text messages that I hired someone to go over there and clean it afterwards, which he cleaned the stove, the air conditioner, the freezer. And
show me. Okay, so now what you're saying is that the mother took these photographs.
Correct.
And after she called you and said that the place is not clean.
While I was working, I was doing something else. I immediately sent someone over there before I had any communication with Tanner or Adriana.
Just a second. Fine. I want you to understand this. These two people traveled from one state to another with 4 children, ranging in age from
8 to, at the time, 14 months.
They wanted a place to live. They needed a place to live. If what you're telling me is that this is not a fair and accurate representation of what the place looked like when they got there.
It did not look like that when Tanner and Adriana arrived to the premises. It looked like that when Linda got there, which I was notified of, and immediately sent someone over to clean the premises.
Who?
I sent a hired kid. His name was Alex.
Is that you?
No.
Just a second. You just raised your hand. She said, I immediately sent somebody over there. I said, is that you? You raised your hand.
I also sent my dad over to ensure that the employee, he had done a good job cleaning. While I was doing something else, he also sent me videos of him cleaning out the freezer.
Just a second. I would like to see whatever photographs you have of what the place looked like before they got there. Show me. You already have a complaint, and you're a landlord. You have a complaint that the place was disgusting.
Correct.
And you have 1 day to clean it all up.
Yep.
Not yep, that's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't bring me the person who cleaned it. I assume you have photographs now that you know that there's a complaint. I assume you have photographs of what the place looked like when they arrived. That means no.
I didn't take photographs after, no.
Well, that's too bad.
I do have an inspection, though. A past inspection that says there is no mold in the home, and I've not made any alterations.
Just a second. Do you have that inspection for me to see?
Yes, ma'am.
On or about the 13th of November?
No.
No. Okay. Ms. Schmidt, this is not a difficult case. Either they had a lease or they didn't. In your answer, you said since they didn't have a lease, they were in fact trespassing.
They had no intention to sign the lease.
Just a second. No. You are incorrect, because that's not common sense. Common sense would suggest that people who are traveling across state borders with 4 small children need a place to live. They sent mother-in-law to look for a place to live.
And she said it was very nice.
Just a second. They sent her, I don't know what assurances they had with regard to cleaning it out. I don't know what her level of cleanliness is, but I know I wouldn't move into this place after having paid somebody $3,000. This place is disgusting. The refrigerator is disgusting. The stove is disgusting. The bugs are disgusting. The wood is disgusting. It's disgusting. Now, you want to be a slum landlord. That's your problem. But either they have a lease or they don't have a lease. If they don't have a lease, then they get their money back because they didn't move in to live. That's not difficult, sir, is it?
No, but I'd like to say something.
Sure, stand up and say whatever you like and uncross your arms when you do it.
Okay. When she called and said that Linda had called to complain about the place, so I did go up there and I met with Linda.
Linda is mother.
Correct.
And?
Correct. And we talked and we went over what the problems were. And so, as to my knowledge, we agreed on the fix, and I seen to it that we had a couple people come over and clean.
Before or after lunch, sir? Did you have it cleaned with a couple of people before or after you and a couple of people had lunch?
I don't know what lunch has to do with it. I don't know nothing about
I know
lunch.
what lunch has to do with it. So you knew there was a problem and you went to the house on the 12th, according to you. They were due there on the 13th and the place was disgusting. You would agree with that?
Yeah, I don't agree with the mold because the city of Spring Valley has inspectors that come around and inspect for mold.
I'm telling you that the place was disgusting. It was not a place where I moved into dozens of properties in my life, both inexpensive and expensive. The inexpensive ones, when I moved in, were clean.
Sure.
That's the way when I moved out of a property, I left it. If your daughter wants to be in business for herself, then she's got to learn how to be in business a good way.
Sure.
Okay? You have to acknowledge she knew that these people were coming across state lines. They were coming across with little children because Linda let you know that.
I don't know anything about that.
You don't know who was moving in?
No, it's
Oh,
not.
just...
It's not.
Did you know who was moving in, Ms. Schmidt?
I didn't meet him personally. I met with Linda.
That's not what I asked you. Did Linda tell you that her son, her son's partner, and 4 children were moving into the house?
Yes.
Of course. This is not the way you expect a house to be. Common sense would indicate that you would then, after your father and his crew cleaned it, you would take photographs to show that it was not in this condition anymore.
Adriana Alonzio and Tanner Krugel are accusing their former landlord, Faith Schmidt, of renting them an uninhabitable property. Faith is countersuing, claiming the couple owes her for loss of income.
Now, I'm coming back to you. Either they have a lease or they don't have a lease.
We had a verbal agreement.
No, you have to have a lease in order to keep their security deposit. Did you have a lease? You said they had no lease, they were trespassing because you told them to get out.
So then they were trespassing.
Yes,
they were on my property without my permission.
Then they get their money back. What is so hard about that? Either they have a lease or they don't have a lease. You can't say they're trespassing on your property because at one point, part of the thing that they're suing about is because you went into the house and you came out with a handgun. Is that right?
Correct.
Correct. And because you felt as if you needed a handgun to defuse the situation that was developing on the 13th. Whatever it was, they left. They get their security deposit back and their month's rent. And if you want to be a big girl in a big girl's business, you got to do the right thing. This is not the right thing. Okay. You want to tell me, Ms. Schmidt, why you felt it necessary? Because I'm going to get rid of that part of your claim very quickly. Why you felt it necessary to come out with a gun on the 13th?
So when I went in there in an attempt to resolve the issues that they were complaining about the night of the 13th, I brought the walkthrough paperwork and we were going to fill out a walkthrough with everything that needed to be addressed. Instead of accomplishing that, we were in...
Okay, so what room did you go into first?
I walked through the back door off the porch into the kitchen.
What did they complain about in the kitchen?
They complained about the cleaning.
What specifically about the cleaning?
They complained about the dirt behind the fridge. They complained about the state of the fridge.
What was the state of the fridge?
There were stains in the back of the fridge that were not coming off with any cleaning.
What else?
They complained about the stove.
And what about the stove?
The inside of the stove.
That it was filthy?
Correct.
Okay. And did you see that the inside of the stove was filthy?
Not on that day.
No. You know, I don't believe...
On the 13th, it was not filthy. It was cleaned by Alex. I had cleaned. Those were... the stove and the fridge was very important to me that he cleaned those. We also talked about getting them new appliances because they weren't satisfactory. I was going above and beyond to appease them, and I told them that I would look for new appliances, that I wouldn't be able to provide them overnight, but that I would be looking for them and provide them with new appliances.
She has that in text.
That she was going to provide new appliances?
Yes. Correct.
Because the ones that were existing were unsatisfactory. Yeah. They get their security deposit back, $3,000. Your counterclaim is ludicrous. Lost income, damages due to false claims, rent, utilities, and harassment. How did they harass you?
She has reported my Facebook account, so I no longer can advertise. So I've had to do alternative routes of advertising. Before, it never cost me anything to advertise. Now I have to pay for advertising through the newspaper. I bought a rental sign. I've done things.
What was the harassment? She complained about what happened to her family when they came to this property that they were renting.
Harassment wasn't the word that I would use.
Well, what would you use?
She's dragging my name through the mud. She's going to the local bars. I have heard from
Just a second. You can't tell me rumors. If you have somebody who can testify that she said something about what?
No. My dad can testify because his employees are telling him.
He can't tell me what his employees... Listen to me. He can't tell me what his employees are telling him. He can tell me if they said something to him. So what? Did you finally find a place to live?
No, we have not.
Since November?
Correct.
Where are you staying?
Right now, we're staying at my parents' house. We had to move back to Wisconsin, so we are on air mattresses in my parents' family room.
Why were you moving?
To be closer to his family.
Anybody have a job?
He had a potential job lined up.
In Minnesota?
Correct, yes.
What kind of work?
Property maintenance management.
What are you doing now?
Nothing right now. I started a new job in Milwaukee on Monday.
He had to turn down a really good job offer in Minnesota because we didn't have a
That's all. I just asked him what he was doing now, not woulda, shoulda, coulda. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. Counterclaim, whatever it is for, I don't even know, is dismissed. Thank you very much for finishing.
This court's adjourned.
I did offer them 3/4 of their deposit back.
We wanted it all back. We didn't live there.
I put forth my best effort to find them new appliances, to hire someone to do cleaning. I believe I went above and beyond.
We had a verbal agreement that the house was going to be in livable condition, and as you can tell by the pictures, it was not livable.
Differently in the future, I think instead of hiring someone to clean, I'm probably going to clean myself, and I'm going to take photo evidence and videos of everything.
She knew a month ahead of time that we were coming, so it's not like it was sprung onto her the day before like she's trying to claim.
I'm not going to go out of my way to give them access to the property before I'm there. I'm going to do the walkthrough and ensure the lease is signed before they have access to the property to avoid this.
Being a landlord is not the job for her.
You know, I remember moving in somewhere when I was a junior in college, and, you know, they always take advantage of us college students. We'll live anywhere, sleep anywhere, we don't really care. But it wasn't clean when my roommate and I moved in. And I remember when we did the walkthrough thinking that if I ever became a landlord or, you know, anything in this realm of realty, that I would make sure that all the places that I would expect other people not only to live, but to pay money for, was up to the standard of somewhere that I would live. And I think that the defendant couldn't even say that she would be willing to move in there and live there in the condition that it was in, either on the 12th or the 13th. You know, that's a big deal.
Yeah, they wanted a place to live.
So I think her claim that they never planned on signing the lease or they were trying to take advantage of her, I don't believe any of that. No mother packs up an 18-month-old for no reason.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they were hoping to make a new life. It didn't work out. Yeah, she's a young person to have a little real estate business, 4 properties that she owns, and I give her credit for that. But she can't be a slumlord.
Yeah, I give her credit too.
Yeah.
But if you want 4 properties, they have to be 4 properties that you'd be willing to live in yourself, not
That's
subpar.
the answer.